because of the Atlanta Braves, it's Matt Olson's fault. It's not even Matt Olson's fault. Matt Olson tried. He's trying his best.
It's not over yet. Hey, look, see, stop doing that.
No, I'm not going to not move the moving thing.
I'm not going to play with it anymore.
Yeah, stop it.
No, I'm not going to not. No, I'm going to move the moving thing because it's meant to be moved. It's on a swivel.
Okay,
all right?
all right.
If it breaks, it's the Braves' fault.
I don't own it, so I don't care. That's definitely
swivel up and down, too?
No, listen,
just left and right?
It should not do that.
No, yeah, it should. There's a swivel part back here, too. See? Swivel parts everywhere. It's made to swivel. It's a swivel design device. And if it breaks,
it's the
Braves' fault.
You're gonna get Chris in trouble. Don't do that.
So it's literally made to be moved. It's on two moving pieces.
By the way,
and it's the Braves' fault.
How many things have had to be repaired in here because they were made to be moved, but people don't move them gently? So I mean, that's all I'm saying. And you're in a violent mood. You just wanted to be dramatic. Just be easier. That's all.
5-0 after 2.
I'm afraid you're gonna do that punch the screen thing.
Nah, I don't make that much money. I work in radio.
And you'd have to punch up. That would be awkward.
5-0 after 2. Bravos have an opportunity to snag win number 1, and instead they continue to find new, creative, more inventive ways to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. As the Braves decide, you know what? I can let you live this experience with me if you'd like. See, last night, there was a Greenville Swamp Rabbits home game that I was working. That game for the Atlanta Bravos, a team I said that I am not going to care about moving forward. There was a Bravos game last night that didn't start. It started early. It started at 8:38 p.m. So I got home from the Swamp Rabbits game, and I'm like, you know what? Checking in. It's 5-3 Atlanta at that point. I'm like, okay, man, you know what? I'm going to give it a shot. We're up. We've scored some runs. We've had some guys on the base paths. Like maybe we're giving ourselves a shot, right? Like I want to be there as the Atlanta Braves become the last team in Major League Baseball to record a win. They're 0-6. They're on the road at the Dodgers, the best team, not in baseball. They might be the best team in baseball history. And here we go. We can hand them their first loss and pick up our first win. Maybe I'll feel better. And so I tune in and I watch, and the Braves just hold a lead. I'm like, all right, we got something good here. And then they stopped holding a lead, and then bottom of the ninth.
High fly ball to center field. Harris is back. Oh, Tony! Inevitable! Ladies and gentlemen, embrace this. Embrace this man, embrace this team this season. An 8-0 start for the defending champs. Unprecedented. Every single night, they do something that makes you say, wow, how much fun is this?
None. It's none, Joe Buck. It's none fun. It's 0 fun. 9 fun. Not a fun. None. It's no fun at all. Shohei Ohtani walks it off. In the bottom of the ninth, the LA Dodgers are now 8-0. It is the best start for a defending World Series champion in the history of baseball. No defending World Series champion has made it to 8-0 to start their defensive campaign. The Dodgers did it last night by knocking off the Bravos for the third consecutive, sweeping Atlanta, who have also been swept by the San Diego Padres on this West Coast swing. Now the Braves come home. They've got, 6 consecutive at the crib coming up next. And, I had a buddy yesterday. It was like Bravos at the crib, got Miami, got Philadelphia, 6 straight at home. Rob Brown, what do you say? We pop into the rig. We had a couple of hours west. We head on over to the Battery, and we go watch a little Braves baseball because I'm going to tell you, there's not much better on planet Earth than a little spring baseball. There's not much better than sitting out in the left field bleachers, basking in that southern sunshine, having a couple of ballpark glizzies, knocking back a couple of ice-cold ballpark brewskis. There's not much better than brewskis and glizzies at the ball game. And I said, nah, I'm good. I'm just I'm going to stay home. Verdansk returns to Call of Duty, Modern Warfare today. So I'm just gonna stay home and play Call of Duty like it's 2020. That's what I want to do.
I was going to say you act like a responsible adult, and then
No, I'm not going.
Now you're acting like you're acting like an Arizona quarterback.
I'm not going because I'm a responsible adult. I think we all know better. I think my brand is built, established, well-maintained. I'm not going because I'm responsible. I've many times over the 5 years I've worked here have gone over for a weeknight Braves game and then driven 2 hours back to show up back here in the middle of the night to work the next day. I'm not above it. I'm an irresponsible person, and I've embraced it. It's given me a lot of lifelong memories. I'm not going because I don't want to. Because it's no personal code of conduct or responsibility, maturity, none of that. That's all overrated. I don't want any part of that. I want to be the guy who ends every night with a great story. And if sometimes you got to make, poor decisions, immature decisions, irresponsible decisions, and sometimes you got to feel like crap the next day, but you feel like crap going, I feel like crap, but it was worth it, then great, I'll go. If the Braves were 7-0, after that stretch on the left coast, I absolutely would have been like, buddy, buy the ticket, give me your Venmo, I'll send you the cash money for it right now. Nope, 0-7, we stink. Can't. I guess we got 5 across the dish last night. Went, I think, 5 of 15 with runners in scoring position. That's an infinite tick up from the 0-4 every runners in scoring position over the past 3 games. I mean, I guess it's an infinite uptick, which is nice. But goodness gracious. And then getting walked off, not only getting walked off in a way that for some reason it made my clips sound like booty cheeks. Oh, that's awful. The Braves are so bad they made Joe Buck sound like he's broadcasting from the inside of a Pringles can. What is happening here, man? What is happening here? Texter, I appreciate your optimism here. Dewey said, typically the Braves struggle against NL West opponents on the road, especially against San Diego and LA, so going 0-7 was a real possibility, but the way these games were lost is the real problem. Last night's game was lost in the 6th and 7th innings when the Braves failed to score with runners on, and why would you leave your closer that's obviously struggling in the game for 2 innings? This team is all caps, BAD, with no help in sight. Also, Joe Buck sucks. Signed Dewey. Dewey, appreciate that text. Good to have you. Good to have you talking sports on the show, not just how bad I am at my job. That's it. Not just talking sports and not telling me how bad I am at my job, but like having a good take. That's exactly it.
Maybe you're still bad at your job, but the Braves are worse.
That's also fair.
So you guys have
maybe
symmetry or whatever that is.
Maybe Dewey's looking at it like, well, Rob sucks at his job, but not as bad as the Braves suck at theirs. Look, struggling on the road against 2 very good NL West teams. I think San Diego's a wild card team. I think San Diego matched up with LA in the postseason could be real interesting because I do think that the Padres have actually enough on the bench to get it done. I think the Padres are going to be one of the teams that can threaten to disappoint the LA Dodgers in the postseason. I absolutely agree. You played 7 games. If you're going to convince me that you are a genuine threat of any type, you got to win 1 out of 7 on the road, man. You got to win 1 out of 7 because all this team has showed me is if they end up as a wild card team out of the NL East and they got to go out to San Diego, that's a realistic possibility. They got to go to Los Angeles. That's a realistic possibility. If they end up having to go to either one of these NL, or by the way, San Francisco, who's in that mix too. If they end up having to go to any of those ballparks on the road for an extended period of time, they're gonna get it handed to them. I genuinely, after a week, today is the 1 week anniversary of opening day in Major League Baseball. After a week, I do not, if I hear one person going, Rob, there's a lot of games left. There's 100, what do we got? 149 games left to go.
You don't want anyone speaking truth to your panic.
No. I don't want a word about how we've played 7 of 162. I don't want a word about, Rob, there's 155 games left. I don't care. I don't care. You had 7 on the road. You didn't win one. Not just didn't win one, but every single one of the problems that you had last year, you have this year. You have guys who can't hit in the clutch. You have a baseball team that in 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 fall apart at the dish. You have no relief pitching. Everything's the same.
So everyone's healthy, and this is a full team.
It doesn't matter.
Also, they're not. Oh, okay.
It doesn't matter.
It kind of does.
It kind of doesn't, because by the time that everyone gets healthy, that will make a difference. Ronald Acuna Jr. And by the way, you're missing 2 guys at the dish. You're missing Acuna. You're missing Sean Murphy. You're missing 2 guys. And Sean Murphy's like, he's a good offensive catcher, but he's not JT Realmuto. Like, he's not a stud. He's better than what you've gone out there with Chadwick Tromp. But he's not a stud. He's not a franchise-changing hitter. So it's Ronnie. And, oh, by the way, there's no guarantee, right? You know what Ronald Acuna Jr.'s threat is? Yeah, he's a home run guy for sure. He can get you 50 in a season if he's at his best, which we don't know if he will be because he's had not 1 but 2 season-ending ACL issues. The problem is Ronald Acuna Jr.'s biggest difference, and somebody posted a theory yesterday, and it holds a lot of weight to me. One of the big problems with the Atlanta Braves is they can't hit the curveball. They can't hit breaking balls. They can't hit off speed. They basically mash fastballs and nothing else. And somebody made the point yesterday that the book's out. The scouting report's been dropped. The Atlanta Braves face the second least amount of fastballs in Major League Baseball. The only team that sees fewer fastballs is the Miami Marlins. Why? Because the Braves can't hit anything else. So everybody's just throwing them junk, and they swing and miss constantly. And part of the reason for that is your best base runners either aren't running, can't get on base, or are on an ACL rehab, like Ronnie Jr. And so when you don't have those guys on first, when you got a runner on first that you know is a bag swiper, when you got a guy on first like Ronald Acuna Jr., you know can go get 70 steals in a season, right? Then you have to pitch a lot of fastballs. You got to pitch a lot of fastballs so you can get the ball from pitcher to catcher as fast as you can so that the catcher has a chance of throwing out a bag stealer. But without runners on first, there's no threat. There's no reason for the catcher to need a fastball to try to get it out to second base to pick off a bag swiper. So what are pitchers getting to do? They're throwing 40+% junk at Atlanta, and they know Atlanta can't hit it. That's all there is to it, man. It's nasty, and the Braves can't get it fixed. So I don't know what you want me to say. No, there is no positive here. Like, even when guys come back and healthy, and unless they suddenly are going to be the 2 people that consistently can hit a curveball and get on the bags and change the destiny for everybody else in the lineup, we are going to end up, when Strider and Acuna comes back, you're going to end up 14 games down of a damn good Philadelphia team in the division. Maybe you win the wild card. And by the way, there's a lot of good NL wild card teams.
So since you've given up and you're not cheering anymore and you're not paying attention, even though you are talking about it, does that mean if they come back and they start winning and they win it all, that you're not going to celebrate?
No, that doesn't mean that at all.
Okay. I didn't know if maybe you were just – it seems like you're putting off your fandom for a year. I mean,
no.
Like going on hiatus or something.
No. I mean, yeah, I'm putting off my fandom for sure. There's no reason to emotionally invest in this baseball team.
You sound kind of emotional right now. I don't know. Maybe I'm just misinterpreting.
There's a difference between being emotional and emotionally investing. I am angry. I am upset. I am perturbed. I am bothered. I am frustrated. I'm irate. I'm not mad. I'm disappointed. I'm all those things together as one. I am one big ball of negative emotions right now. 1,000%. If in 3 months from now, by some grace of the baseball god's miracle, the Atlanta Braves are in any way, shape, or form, even in a wild card playoff spot, they are, 1 week into the season, the only Major League Baseball team without a win. If by an act of the baseball gods, they're in any way, shape, or form close to a playoff spot, let's say this day in, May, next month, No, I'll come in here and I'll go, hey, what a way to rebound, boys. What a way to rebound, fellas. Way to get it together, boys. Way to slug. But that's not going to happen.
Pal.
So why emotionally invest, man? Why would I do that? That might be all the baseball I can handle today. This team's so bad they've got me and Dewey on the same side right now. That's how bad they are. A dude who has spent the last 2 months texting the show every day telling me how much I suck at my job and trying to convince my bosses to fire me. He and I have shaken hands and reached a truce agreement just to complain about the Atlanta Braves. That's how bad that team is right now. All right. We got a lot we got to get into. We got some football, basketball, baseball, soccer, hockey, and more over the next 4 electrifying hours of sports talk entertainment. I shan't promise I'll be in a better mood, but I don't want to ruin Lonzo's day, so I'll try my best. I'm Rob Brown. He is the great one. You're listening to The Rob Brown Show. You're listening to The Fan Upstate. Good morning, South Carolina. And I just realized how much of like a 1980s bad guy
Excuse me?
trying to shut down Wall Street haircut I got going on right now. No sweep, no texture, no body, no nothing this morning.
It looks more like aging 90s boys band.
Ouch.
But
Ouch.
I
mean, correct, but also
don't come out my 80s without me having to retort.
the 80s had some of the best bad guys of all time.
Hans Gruber.
I'm like Gordon Gekko the third.
I mean, I'm aware of an ACC school who had apparently. I mean, I don't care to prove this or whatever, but I've heard from multiple different people around the country that there's a certain team that had already been having Bluetooth to the quarterback before it was even a thing.
Kane texts the show, said, good morning, Geek. Scotty from BMW texts the show, said, Rob, stop worrying. Everything is okay. The Yankees are good this year. Cool, Scotty. Cool. Congrats, buddy. Hey, here's a fun story. The college basketball transfer portal is open.
Transfer?
Yeah, I know. I was already committed. The college basketball transfer portal is open, which is the very first thing that I said in this segment and nothing else. And if you think I did, your memory is clearly flawed.
Huh?
It's the circle of life for Michi Johnson. Why do I decide to go that direction this early in the morning? Michi Johnson is a Gamecock transfer. In and out. Michi Johnson started his college basketball career at the Ohio State University. He played there for 2 seasons, and then he transferred, some of you may remember, to the University of South Carolina. Spent a couple of years as a Gamecock down there in Columbia, South Carolina. And then, going into last year, Michi Johnson decided to transfer away from South Carolina. He transferred to Ohio State University. So he spent 2 years with the Buckeyes. The Ohio State University. He spent 2 years with the Buckeyes. He hopped in the portal. He came to Columbia. He spent 2 years with the Gamecocks. He hopped in the portal. He went back to Columbia, Columbus, Ohio. Did a year with the Buckeyes, and then said, you know what? I had a good time in the scarlet and gray, but I'm going to hit the transfer portal one last time. He's got his COVID year of eligibility, as his first year in Columbus was 2000, the year of the COVID, which meant he got the extra year of eligibility. So he popped in the portal. He's headed to, you want to take a stab at where he's transferring back to in the Rob Brown Show Home Edition?
I already know, so I'm not going to.
Oh, well, that sucks the fun out of it.
Yeah, sorry.
You had the opportunity to be dramatic like me. Columbia. He is coming back to South Carolina. My man did 2 years with the Horse Chestnuts, 2 years with the Cocks, another year with the Horse Chestnuts. Now he's back to the Cocks.
Why is this a story? You have praised the ability of these kids to be able to go where they want to go.
No, I'm great with it.
Yeah,
it doesn't bother me at all. However, there was like a social media uprising yesterday about it. Not even really from South Carolina fans, because, hey, they're getting a good player. It's the second and final season, final stint with the Gamecocks. Michi Johnson was there with B.J. Mack, Talon Cooper, Colin Murray Boyles as a freshman, led the Gamecocks to their first NCAA tournament berth since 2017. When I know I also said berth.
Yeah, I was just gonna let that one go.
I don't know what's happening to me.
I don't want this to be a thing, so I was like, yeah, I'll just let that one go. How many years does he have left? Just one, right?
This will be it.
Okay,
this will be it. Michi Johnson was the leading scorer for a team that broke school records, including 26 wins on that season. He's a 6'2", 185-pounder who averaged 9.1, 2.5 boards, 2.7 assists per game in his 10 games at Ohio State. He did sit out the remainder of last year. After just 10 games, he did sit out the remainder of the year for personal reasons. And from what I understand, effectively, he was having some mental health issues that caused him to step away from the basketball court. Now, I don't want to read between the lines. As far as I am concerned, mental health issues are a real thing. They cause problems for real people. And if someone says, I am having a mental health issue and I need to deal with it, go bananas. Absolutely. Take your time. Get right. Nothing is more important. So I'm not going to question what happened. In the reading I was doing yesterday about this scenario, there are people in Columbus who believe that he just effectively was not being used the way that he wanted to be used and was using mental health reasons as his reason for just stepping away from a basketball team that he did not enjoy playing for. I don't know. I don't personally care. My question mark for the Gamecocks fans out there is because, again, I was chronically online checking into this conversation yesterday. And by and large, the Gamecocks that I came across on the internet, did not interact with, but came across yesterday on the internet, didn't really seem to care. They seemed to be fine with it. Dude was a big part of the last successful run of Gamecock basketball. Let's call a spade a spade. I'm still a Lamont Paris guy, but that team stank last year. And not just weren't good, but weren't good inside of the best basketball conference of maybe my lifetime. Maybe my lifetime. Half of the Sweet 16, half of the Final Four comprised of one conference.
It's not over yet either.
Correct.
Yeah, it's still.
But two of them, which also means that half of the national championship game will be made up of Southeastern Conference teams. Rough year for the Gamecocks to have a rough year, for sure. Michi Johnson's a guy that has already had success in Columbia. Not just had success in Columbia, but was a part of the most successful run that the Gamecocks have had in a very, very long time. So Johnson is now the third transfer portal pledge to join the team in this window. Joins former Providence big man Christ Esendonko. Sorry, I'm going to get that one right eventually. And North Dakota guard/wing Trayson Eaglestaff, who both committed over the weekend. South Carolina has been active in the portal this offseason. Makes sense. They are going to have to rebuild the roster after a, we'll call it, disappointing season last season. But you go get a guy who's got familiarity. You get a guy who has been a leader on this roster in a year gone by, who had some immense success with South Carolina the last time the Gamecocks had immense success. My question mark is, again, for Gamecock fans, and you can text the show. The Hub City Spartanburger text line is open, 844-326-3663. Is there any part of you that is uncomfortable with this? Is there any part of you that is uncomfortable with a guy who was there once, who came in as a transfer portal player, then left, transfer portaled out back to his old school, was there for a year, and then left again and transfer portaled back to you? Doesn't bother me at all. You have the right to switch jobs. They have the right to switch schools. You have the right to move around as often as people are willing to keep putting offer sheets in to you to get you to move. And as far as I'm concerned, students should have the right to change schools as often as they wish as well. Now, the flip side of this is schools have the right to say no to players. I think this is the part of the conversation that, for whatever reason, it bothers me that is not frequently brought up in the overall discussion. You don't have to bring the guys in. I have listened for the past month and a half. Oh, it's transfer portal's ruining. It's ruining college basketball. It's done ruined college basketball. It's ruined college basketball because you get these guys and they go to the small schools and they get experience and they get better and then they move up to the big schools and then they hop around for more and more money. Okay, don't sign them. Don't sign them. What do you want? If you don't like that a guy went to Ohio State, went to South Carolina, went back to Ohio State, coming back to South Carolina, if that makes you uncomfortable, if you don't like it, if you think it's done ruined college basketball, tell your school not to sign him. And if your school is going to sign him and you don't like that your school is going to sign him, then don't watch it anymore. Don't pay attention. Don't shop at the places that are giving the guys NIL deals. Don't participate. We do this with the NFL every year. We do it with MLB, NBA, NHL, MLS. We do it with every major professional sport. If you don't like the way that your team is being owned and operated, if you don't like what the league is doing, don't watch it. Don't participate. Reach out. Tell the sponsors, look, I don't like what's happening with my team. I don't approve of it. And therefore, I ain't coming to your store no more. And if enough of y'all do that, and those stores go, all right, it's actually costing us more to sponsor this team than to not, we're going to stop doing that. And you make that move, eventually the power players go, hey, we're losing money doing things the way we're doing. We're going to stop doing those things the way that we're doing those things. We're not going to do those things anymore. If you don't want the guy, don't sign the guy. There's no obligation. There's no mandate that a guy goes in the portal and he must be picked up by your school. So I don't know. This doesn't bother me all that much. Like, he's got the right to go to school where he wants to go to school and to go to school for whatever reason he wants to go to school. And if he decided after 2 years in Columbus that Columbia was better, great. And after 2 years in Columbia that, maybe I was wrong, maybe Columbus is better, great. And then after 1 year in Columbus goes, no. Actually, I was right the first time. Columbia is better. I'm going back. Great. If you don't like him, don't sign him. If you don't like that you signed him, check out. I don't know what to tell you. All right. Michie Johnson, 2 years at the Buckeyes, 2 years with the Gamecocks, a year with the Buckeyes, coming back for one more year, his final year, his COVID year of eligibility with the Gamecocks. Where do you land on that? You good with it? 844-326-3663. 844-FANFONE is the number to text, to call. Give us your thoughts. Rob Lonzo and you, the Rob Brown Show's on the radio. It is the Fan Upstate. Quiet in the chat this morning. I see y'all watching. Quiet in the chat.
Yeah, I know. It's not Tim's fault. Well, it is kind of, but he does because he doesn't know sports and doesn't. This has happened a couple of times this week. This is on them. It's not on him. But no, they didn't send new ones. And here's the thing. So sometimes they post them late at night for the next day. So these are posted at 11:51, but they were posted at 11:51 a.m. So, but they don't put a.m. or p.m. on them. So he just looked at it and thought, okay, they did these at near midnight. And they've done this consistently the last couple of days. So the only new ones have been the ones that I put in before noon. Can't sing that song. It's their song. It's not yours.
The Dan band took it from him.
Who the heck is Dan? Hey, where are you going? Okay.
I'm a winner. I know how to win.
I am the hype!
Wonderful.
The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. It's the Fan Upstate, Rob Brown, the Great Alonzo, and you. I have it's smoke screen season. It is mock draft season. By the way, you will get my first mock draft on Monday. I am going to put together my first mock draft. I will do 2 rounds, mainly because I'm lazy and I don't want to do more than that. Over the weekend, you will get my first mock draft coming up on Monday. But one of the things, obviously, that you do when you do mock drafts is you look around at everybody else's mock draft and you find out what the consensus is. And then you read the arguments. You see if anybody's put any forward that you go, I didn't think of that, or maybe I did think of that and I hate it, but this guy won me over, or whatever. There's a conversation ongoing right now because one of the most popular takes among the mock drafters of the world is that the Carolina Panthers will be looking for, potentially, a wide receiver at draft pick numero ocho. Pick number 8. That's ocho, not ucho. I don't know what's happening to me this morning. Okay? The struggle bus is parked squarely on me.
This is my fault. I came in and told you that I was having all these problems, and you took it from me. And I appreciate you can give back.
No,
I'll take it back.
I'm a giver. I'm here to help. So Carolina on the clock at pick number 8. And one of the most popular opinions amongst the mock drafters right now is that Carolina will be in the market for a wide receiver at that spot. So I wanted to ask y'all, we kind of touched on this briefly yesterday, but I wanted to ask y'all about Arizona wide receiver Tet McMillan. Tet has been in the news because Tet was doing a kind of a podcast. It was a weird setup, a weird situation. He was doing like a podcast, but he very clearly couldn't be bothered to like invest in it, right? Like, if you haven't seen it, it's worth a look-see on the internet. He is turned to the side of the camera, like if you're watching the stream, he's like this, right? Like he's not even really looking at the camera or talking to the guy who's talking to him or whatever. And he's eating lunch. And he's just kind of like, yeah, nope, yep, yeah, yep, nope, I don't really do that, yep, nope. He's very divested from the interview that is taking place. And during the conversation, the interviewer says, talk to me about picking stuff up on game film. And Tet, once again, not looking at the camera, kind of being indirect with the guy asking him questions, says, Dad, I don't really watch game film. Now, I heard that, and my gut reaction was, well, I'm out on this cat. I'm out on this guy. But then I thought about it. I was like, am I though? Like, am I? Because Ted McMillan is at the best the best wide receiver in this draft. And at the worst, he's the second. I'll let you make the argument because of this, the third. The dude goes 6'4", 220. The dude checks in with a let me pull all of his stat categories here because I want to give you the full breakdown. That is not not. And that's how you get your website blocked right there. That's how you get your website blocked immediately. Okay, the dude goes 6'4", 220, got a 10-inch hand, a 31.5-inch long arm. That's his reach. He's got height. He's got length. He's got weight. He is a possession wide receiver. He's got the size and the frame to be a...
Did you say 10-inch hand?
Yeah, that's big.
That's covering the ball right there. I mean, it'd be hard to miss the ball if you got a 10-inch hand.
He's a jump ball dude. And now I will say that you want the negatives. He's not a great movement route runner. He's not a guy that comes out of breaks quickly and smoothly. So he's a jump ball guy. He's a dude that is not going to be a big-time deep route runner. He's a dude that is a red zone threat. There are some spots where he plays a very instinctive style of football. That is to say, he's going to respond to a DB, and you just got to throw it up and let him go get it, and he can go up and go get it. I think the dude can be an elite wide receiver. He's not going to be an X. He's not going to be a guy that I trust as the number one. I'm not going to get him running in any style of snappy offense, but he's a dude I can throw out opposite my X. I can run, or honestly, as a Z, maybe lined up underneath the X, right? I'm going to send my one deep. I'm going to run this guy under him. If he ends up one-on-one, I can throw a jump ball. If they decide to leave another guy underneath to prevent him from getting the jump ball, bang, my X is open. There's a lot of potential productivity in Ted McMillan. But he says on this podcast, the podcast that he clearly couldn't be bothered to do, which then great, don't agree to do it, but he can't be bothered to do it. They said, talk to us about how it is that you learn to watch game film. And he goes, yeah, I don't really watch film. And there's this big discussion, debate, whatever, about whether or not that makes this kid undraftable. And if so, how far down would he tumble before somebody goes, I don't really care if he doesn't watch a bunch of tape. The dude's big as hell, and he can go get the football. I got to have this dude on my roster. Where's that line?
All right, this is confusing because if he's good enough to be in the conversation to be one of the first receivers taken, that means he's pretty good, right?
He is very good.
And so if I'm an NFL guy that's in charge, I'm going, okay, he did this without supposedly looking at film. Think of how much better he's going to be when we get him into the groove and teach him that's part of the NFL. I don't think it's so supposedly he did really well without watching film. Think of how much better we can make him when we bring him to our franchise.
Yeah, but I think that the conversation...
I don't understand how it's a negative. I don't. I mean, he's either good or he's not.
Okay. Here's where I'm going to come from, or at least I will devil's advocate that side of the conversation. Number one, the dude's obviously watched game film because you don't play for a football team and not have film meetings. Okay? So he's watched some film. Now, this is where you get into that conversation of how dedicated are you? How much do you want it? How bad do you want it? And, there are guys, you've heard the stories about Peyton Manning and Drew Brees when they were at their best. And obviously it's quarterbacks, that's different. But they're the first guys that spring to my brains. Talk about guys like Brees and Manning. Cats that lived with game film. If they were not actively playing quarterback, they were sitting there with their tablets watching film learning, breaking down, evaluating, whatever. It is the whole concept of the Mamba mentality. The quest for greatness never turns off. I can watch film and I can see what I'm doing right and what I'm doing wrong, what I'm doing well, what I can do better, what I can do way better. And I can be fixing these things. And it is kind of one of those spots where I remember when I was growing up, when I was a youth. And with school, stuff always came easy for me when I was growing up. Like I never really had to study until I got to college. When I got to college, all of a sudden, and I started taking elevated classes in college, all of a sudden stuff didn't really come easy to me anymore. But at that point, stuff had come so easy to me for so long that I didn't really know how to study. I didn't know how to be productive because I never had to. It was always show up, go to class, get A's, go play football, go home, play some video games, hang out with my friends, get up to go to school, do it again tomorrow. And then one day it was like, oh no, you got to study now. You got to learn this stuff. You got to learn how to learn. And it did not come easy to me. And so by the time I was in college, I didn't just have to learn the material that professors were giving me. I had to learn how to learn the material that professors were giving to me. And I didn't want to because it was hard. Because it was hard to learn how to learn. And I didn't want to. And it cost me. I had some major problems my first 2 years of school because I didn't want to learn how to learn. It was tough. And I had a conversation with my dad one day about it because I called him. I'm like, hey, I'm struggling right now, man. Like things aren't going great for me. And he's like, you got to learn how to learn. And I was like, I don't want to. And he goes, yeah, that's the problem. None of it is going to matter until you want to learn how to learn. You can't, like, if you feel like you're forcing it all the time, you're going to hate it. And if you hate it, you're not going to want to do it. And if you're not going to want to do it, you've got to want this. And that's kind of the philosophical argument about this, Cat, is if you're telling me that the most valuable asset that you have to be the best player you can be, which is tape. There's the old expression, tape don't lie, right? You want to learn what this is or that is, tape don't lie. It's the most valuable asset that any football player, basketball player, baseball player, whatever, the most valuable asset that you have is tape. It is going to show you the glaring inadequacies in your game, in your route running, in your pass catching, in your this, and your that. And Tet said with his whole chest on a podcast, yeah, I don't really want to do that. And so the question mark is, if you know, because we're all taught from middle school, tape don't lie, it's your number one tool for improving yourself in your game. And here he is after playing middle school ball, high school ball, college ball, becoming a top 10 potential NFL draft pick. He's got no problem saying on a podcast when he knows good and gosh darned well that the general manager of every NFL team with a first-round draft pick is watching, is listening, is paying attention. They know every meal he's eating, every conversation he's having, every smell, every sight, every taste, every sound that enters his nose and eyes and ears and probably comes out of them as well. They know everything. He had no problem jumping up on a podcast and going, yeah, I don't really want to watch film. I don't really want to watch the thing that is the best asset, the number one tool that any of us have to improve ourselves. And so there's a lot of people right now that are like, I'm out on this kid. Even though he's a 6'4", 210 guy who can jump out of the gym, guy who's got down the field explosiveness. He's got all this to his game. He could be, I think probably is the best wide receiver in this draft. Maybe it's Golden Tate out of Texas. Different discussion, different time. We'll come back to that later on because I do think Carolina's in play there as well. But
Wait,
this guy basically said, I don't want to study.
Did you say Golden Tate?
Mm-hmm. Not Golden Tate. He was a Notre Dame guy who has been in the NFL for a long time, which is why I thought of Golden Tate. I am talking about Matthew Golden of the University of Texas. I told you
Hey, there's
My
Golden.
brain is dumb today.
There's Golden in both names, and Golden Tate, I believe, is old enough to have a son in college. So I thought maybe it was his son.
No, Matthew Golden out of Texas, who is a very fast, explosive wide receiver, doesn't have the range I should say, doesn't have the jump that Tet has, which is, to me, what makes Tet valuable. Especially if, him and Jalen Coker on one side with Xavier Legette on the other, to me, actually is a pretty scary trio of wide receivers. But the question mark is, if I got a dude who knows that GMs are watching and listening and paying attention to everything that he said, even if he is being honest, which is what we all say we want out of our athletes and our coaches and our GMs, right? Be honest with us. He's being honest. I don't want to watch tape. It's boring and I don't like it. I respect that. I understand that. You got to do it, man.
Maybe
it's
he
your number one
believes
tool.
he believes he's talented enough that he doesn't need to watch tape. He goes out and plays his game. No one can stop him. Maybe it's just a confidence
You
thing.
know who ruined that for everybody? Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant ruined that for everybody. The Mamba mentality ruined that for everybody. Because if at the height of his game, Kobe Bryant was still the dude that was telling stories about having stories told about him, that as the best player on the planet was the dude that was in the weight room at 3:30 in the morning and on the practice court at 6 a.m. by himself, and then back on the practice court with the team at 9 o'clock, and then back on the practice court at noon by himself, and then back on the practice court at 2 with the team, and then back in the weight room at 5 p.m. by himself, and then doing the nutritional, doing the this, doing the that, and he was the best player on planet Earth. No one else gets to say, I'm good enough. I don't need to do any of that.
Yeah, I disagree. Some people have to work harder to get to where they are, and other people's are just peoples. Other people's are born with that kind of talent, and they don't have to work like
Kobe Bryant was born with that kind of talent. That dude could have done none of that and still been one of the best basketball players of all time. But he said, I'm this good, and even if it's only going to take me from here to here, a lot of people are here and working out, take them to here, but Kobe's here, and it's going to take him to here. And he goes, that's good enough. That's a good enough reason to bust my ass.
Can you find someone more modern?
Lonzo, do you not
To
want
compare
somebody?
to?
Do you
I
want
just-
somebody who works harder? Don't you? If a producer comes in here and says, I am unwilling to listen back to any of my shows because I'm good enough, you'd be like, nah, that's not good enough, right?
No, that's not true. I will listen and see how good they are. If they're that good, they don't need to listen back. I'm not going to say I'm sorry. I just disagree with you. And I don't like the comparisons to Kobe Bryant because I don't think he was that great. And I never will, never have. I'm sure there's other people you can compare it to, but why him? I guess he was your guy when you were growing up, so that's your go-to guy. But there are people who are just good, and they don't need to put in all that extra work. When I hear about someone putting all that extra work in, either they're older and they're trying to stay relevant with other people, or they're not as talented as the people around them, and they have to work harder to be equal with the talented people.
I have been in this game for 17 years. Lonzo and I have won 3 out of 4 South Carolina Broadcasters Association Sports Talk Radio shows of the Year awards. I have been hired to host nationally syndicated radio programs. I have been hired in like 6 different markets across the Southeast to work. I'm good at this job. And I still listen to segments and shows to go, what am I not doing good enough? How can I be better? Tet just said, nah, I don't do that. I'm good enough.
Yeah, that's you. Not everyone has to do things the way you do them. I don't care what anyone else says. I don't want to listen to other people because I don't want to I don't want to accidentally do what they're doing. I want to be me.
No, but that's the thing. The thing is, I'm asking you to watch you. I'm asking you to listen to you and go, where can I be better? If you genuinely believe I have no room for improvement. If you are the type of person that goes, I can't be better. I'm the best I can be. I don't need to watch tape because I can't improve myself. We just fundamentally disagree on life.
Okay, I get better by doing, not by watching other people doing, and so I don't understand.
As my old
that
basketball coach
mentality.
used to say all the time, if you go out there and you practice 1,000 free throws and your free throw form sucks, you didn't get better. You just practiced the 1,000 free throws.
Yeah,
poorly.
that's on coaching. That's not on the person who practiced.
And what
poorly.
does a coach say? Here is what you need to fix. Go watch yourself and learn what you need to fix.
Okay,
That's what a
you're
coach
using
does.
Your buddy tone.
Because
I can't believe you didn't say buddy at the end. I'm so
I really,
disappointed.
I stopped to myself. Just so we're clear, I really did stop myself. All right, let's take a break. We'll come back here in the next hour of the show. I do want y'all's opinion. Ted McMillan, you in or you out? A guy that openly and with his full chest says, "Yeah, don't watch tape. I don't like watching tape." Does that put you off on the guy, or do you go, he's 6'14", 225 pounds, and can jump out of the football stadium? I don't care. Where do you land on that? Is that positive, negative, or are you net neutral on Ted McMillan after those comments? We'll talk more about that later on in the radio broadcast. We got your water cooler cheat sheet coming up. Lulu Kesson and Rashad Beard have both got to move to tomorrow. Lulu obviously has coming up today. She is with the South Carolina Gamecock women basketball team. The NCAA media availability is during our time, so she'll join us tomorrow. We do have Mario at 9, Fight Club at 9:20, and a Sports Flash now.
By the way, 10-inch hands, I don't care if he watches film or not. The 7th consecutive loss of the Atlanta Braves was the most dramatic so far. Atlanta held a 5-0 lead over the Dodgers after just 2 innings, courtesy of 3 Los Angeles errors and RBI doubles from Nick Allen, Ozzie Albies, and Matt Olson. However, that wasn't enough. The Braves wouldn't find the plate again. The Dodgers down the Braves 6-5. 10-time NBA All-Star Carmelo Anthony found out yesterday he will join the NBA's 2025 Hall of Fame class. The 6-time All-NBA selection was drafted 3rd overall by Denver in 2003. Melo ended his 19-year career scoring 28,289 points, making him the 10th highest scorer of all time. Make sure you tune in this afternoon from 3 to 7 p.m. for Wire to Wire. Cole Bryson and Diesel ride shotgun on your drive home and get you up to date on the latest local and national sports news. Great guests, great debates, a whole lot of fun. And it's all Wire to Wire. 10-inch hands. That's pretty good. It's also a big-time joke, so you don't know if it's real or not, that Travis Kelce never runs any plays. That's called. He just goes out there and kind of does his own thing. So, I mean, I think there are some cases where the talent is above that. You know what a coach does? A coach goes, yeah, he's different. I want that guy. I don't know, Kane. If that's the way you said it, and it text, you're having a fun morning. I find when my voice to text doesn't work, if I just use a Southern accent, it understands. It's weird. Maybe I enunciate better when I'm doing a Southern accent. Could be. Need to watch a lot of film on how to speak regularly, and maybe I'll get better at it. It could be. Here's what you need to do, Kane, is change the voice. If you change the voice to a Southern accent, it will understand your redneck, and everything will be good.
My Google Pixel assistant is a British lady, and I do sometimes wonder if she would understand me better if I respond in a British accent.
Yeah, mine's Irish. Just because.
of the Rob Brown Show starts right now. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It is the Fan Upstate. Rob Brown, the Great with Lonzo, and a Hugh, which Hugh can be a part of the radio program should you elect to do so. There are a variety of mediums that you may use to do so. Numero uno, the Hub City Spartanburgers text line, 844-326-3663. 844-FANFONE. That's the number to text the show on the Hub City Spartanburger text line. That is also the number to call the radio broadcast and jump on the air with us, 844-326-3663, 844-FANFONE. You may join us on our live stream as P1 Keegan has, as Captain Kane of the Armada has, as Miss April has, as who else has jumped in so far? Frank has, Jacob has, Michael has. Got a lot of folks up in here on our live stream this morning.
He just straight up ignored you, Keegan.
I literally said P1 Keegan as the first person.
I don't think you did.
As the very first name I mentioned. So you can join us on our live stream, facebook.com/TheFanUpstate, The Fan Upstate on Twitter, or The Fan Upstate on YouTube. You can also search The Rob Brown Show on Facebook, on YouTube, and on Twitch. If you're one of them there millennials that got the Twitcher in your pocket, you can search The Rob Brown Show on Twitch.
Twitcher in your pocket.
Yeah, I said what I said.
Okay.
I'm standing on it.
All right.
You can also email the show, rob.brown@thefanupstate.com, rob.brown@thefanupstate.com, or follow us both on Twitter. The Rob Brown Show is my handle. Lonzo on Word is, shockingly, Lonzo's handle. And, of course, you can get to everybody up in here at The Fan Upstate if you wish to go in that direction. We'd love to have you as a part of the Armada and the radio broadcast. We have got a lot that we're going to get to. I would like to get back later on in the show to that Tate McMillan conversation we were having. I would also like to evaluate the wide receiver class coming up in this draft, because I do think Carolina's got to go wide receiver at some point. You're looking for a breakout. You are hoping you are going to find, even if it's late in the draft, that Marcus Colston somewhere down the stretch that can come in and be your stretch wide receiver. So we're going to talk wide receiver class, because I do think that the Carolina Panthers are going to be in the market for one in this draft. I do not think that there is a free agent out there that fits what needs to be acquired by this football team. I think if you want one, you'll have to draft one. So we're going to talk about that later on in the show and plenty more. But it is 7:04 in the morning. That hurt. That hurt.
He's squatting, for those of you who are not watching on the stream.
I need to look at the clock that's on the other side of the room under the TV monitors, and then standing back up, my knees were like, hey, you're 40 now, guy. You're 40 now. I almost bit it on the ice last night, Zoe. I almost ate it last night.
Well, here's a problem that I see. And I know this is coming from me, but you are standing all 4 hours every day, but you're not stretching before you do that. And I'm guessing maybe your hamstrings are getting tight. It's putting a strain on your back, and maybe that's why you nearly bit it last night on the ice.
See, when I get going in the AM, because I'm old and I'm broken down and I played too much sports growing up, I have to stretch. It's the very first thing that I have to do when I get up. Like the alarm goes off, and there's the whole process. I have to twist the hips to swing the to swing the legs off the side of the bed. Step one. I gotta throw them to get. Then it's pushed to set up. And when I get up, the very first thing, because I sleep against the far wall of the bedroom, right? The door's over there. I sleep on that side, and the wife's in the middle. So when I stand up, I have to push up, and then the very first thing I do is lean on the wall and then stretch the calves out. Like I gotta unlock the legs, because the legs get locked up, and then I gotta stretch. I gotta lean forward, stretch the calves out, stretch the hammies out. Then I go take the hottest possible shower that a human being can take to loosen the back up. And usually there's some There's some twisting in the shower. It's not a pretty sight. Nobody wants to see it. All right. That's why I shower in the morning so that I don't so that the wife doesn't accidentally walk in on me and divorce me immediately. Got to do some twisting, some bending, some moving, some shaking to get everything worked out. And then usually you'll see me first hour of the show or so. There's some bouncing around. That's really just trying to loosen everything up because just everything hurts all the time. It's just part of growing up, I guess. Part of getting old. Anyway, now it's 7:07 in the morning. You got 52 minutes and some change before you got to get your bootay into the office, get those emails sent back out, get that TPS report filled out properly. Still don't know what that is. Watched Office Space 100 times. Still don't know what a TPS report is. Total packaging software.
I think that sounds like that's pretty accurate.
Sure, why not? Fill out that TPS report, get it sent off to Lundberg, and then it's time to take that well-earned break. I don't know, about 11, 12 minutes into the day, walk down the hallway, go find the coworkers that you actually like to be around and talk sports. You want to talk sports at work? Of course you do. That's why you're listening to this show. And if you're listening to this show, oh boy, golly gee willikers, are you in luck because we do this.
Are you ready for the playbook of the peculiar, the almanac of the absurd, and the encyclopedia of the extraordinary? Well, you better be, because we're diving headfirst into the 3 top stories that will have your coworkers saying,
"That doesn't work for me, brother."
bathroom break.
No.
Here we go. Welcome to the water cooler cheat sheet on the Fan Upstate.
Nope.
It is the water cooler cheat sheet, the top 3 sports stories you need to know before you get to the office this morning and start talking sports with your coworkers. Whenst thou'st does. This is what you'll be talking about. Let us dive right in with item number 1. So the Braves stink. And we got that going for us, and which is nice. Last night, the Atlanta Braves lose again. They're 0-7 to start the season. A 7-game road trip out on the left coast. They took on the San Diego Padres for 4, the LA Dodgers for 3. They won 0 of them. Last night, the Bravos actually led 5-0 through 2 innings. In the first inning, Marcell Ozuna scored on an error. Brian De La Cruz safe at first on a throwing error by third baseman Max Muncy. Olsen got to third on the throwing error. Next up, Nick Allen doubled the left. Olsen scored. De La Cruz was thrown out at home, almost 6-6. That would have been a nice little boost for the Bravos. In the second inning, Fairchild on. Albies doubled to center, moved White over to third. Matty Ice Baby Olsen came up. He doubled to left. White scored. Albies scored. Ozuna moved to third. That was 5-0 Bravos. And then it was just all Dodgers the rest of the way. Bottom 2, Edman homered to center, a 415-foot tower. Conforto scored as well. It was 5-2. Conforto then hit his own dinger in the fourth inning. That made it 5-3. In the bottom of the 8th, Max Muncy doubled to center. Conforto scored again, as did Will Smith. That made it 5-5. And then we got to the bottom of the 9th and up to the dish like a villain in an early 90s baseball movie, except a villain who's impossible to dislike because he's just an awesome guy. Up to the dish walks Shohei Ohtani.
High fly ball to center field. Harris is back. Ohtani, inevitable. Ladies and gentlemen, embrace this. Embrace this man. Embrace this team this season. An 8-0 start for the defending champs. Unprecedented. Every single night, they do something that makes you say, wow. How much fun is this?
Wow. How much fun is this? None, Joe.
Wow. How much fun is this?
0 fun. Shohei Ohtani walks off the Atlanta Braves. It drops them to 0-7. The LA Dodgers become the first reigning, defending, undisputed World Series champions to start the next season by reaching 8-0. They did it with a win that completed a sweep over the Atlanta Braves. Let us get to item number 2. The quest for great Get it because he wears number 8 is the reason for that. The quest for greatness for Washington Capitals legend Alex Ovechkin continued last night as Avi and the Caps took on the Carolina Hurricanes.
Played by Strome. 35 seconds to go in the period. There's Ovechkin scoring! Career goal number 892.
What a perfect pass here by Jacob Chikrin, right in the wheelhouse. Ovechkin shoots it back the other way against Freddie Anderson. He's ready, stick cocked, and just absolutely lets a dart go right up over the pad.
So Alex Ovechkin's very good at hockey. Also, I don't know why my audio all sounds like crap, and I apologize for that, but it's not my fault, so get off me, dog. Alex Ovechkin scored his 892nd career goal. The Caps did lose 5-1 to the Canes last night. It moved Avi 2 away from tying the great one, 3 away from passing him. The 39-year-old Russian said he was disappointed in the loss and that he couldn't score another one to help the team out. Had a point-blank shot stopped by Frederik Andersen in the second period when the Caps were already down 3-0. He did get 892 in the second period on a 5-on-3 power play with 34 and a half seconds left in the period. Ovechkin now has 10 goals in 13 career games against fast Freddie Andersen. 53 overall in the 92 games he has faced Carolina and 32 in 46 in Raleigh, the most of any visiting player. He added that one last night. I don't know if you, how many of y'all saw this? I actually don't care. I loved it. There were 2 broadcasts going on of this game. One of them was the traditional TNT broadcast. It was just a hockey broadcast of Carolina taking on Washington, which, by the way, is the race for the top spot in the Metro Division. Now, Carolina's not getting the top spot because the Caps have been exceptional. They are 9 points up on Carolina with, what are we on, 7 games to go? So it would take a hell of a run for the Canes and a bit of a catastrophe for the Caps for Carolina to steal that top spot. But they are 9 points up on New Jersey as well for second in the Metro, which is fine. The regular broadcast was on TNT. There was actually a simulcast of this game as well called the Great Cast, where all they did was follow Alex Ovechkin. They had the TNT broadcast in a small box, and then they had a constant Avi cam that stayed on Ovechkin the whole time. And I saw a bunch of people complaining about it on social media because, honestly, that's what social media is for. It's just complaining on the internet to other people who don't really care about your complaints. It's my favorite thing.
And cat videos.
And cat videos. More cat videos, please. Big cat video guy. Anyway, saw a lot of people complaining about it. I don't think people understand just how big this record would be. Avi has 39 goals, tied for the second most in a single season behind Gordie Howe's 1967-68 record amongst players aged 39 or older. Gordie had 44 in 1968 and 69. Avi needs 5 more to set that record. He is also 1 goal away from reaching 40 for a 14th time. That is already the most in league history, and he did it while missing 16 games with a broken freaking leg. So there's that. Let's get to item number 3. I don't care if you don't like it. I don't care if you don't think that this is a qualifier for the water cooler cheat sheet. I don't care if you think that this is not one of the top 3 sports stories in sports. It is to me. It is official. FIFA President Gianni Infantino has said the United States and the United Kingdom are poised to be named as host of the Women's World Cups in 2031 and 2035, respectively. We already know that the Men's World Cup is headed to these great United States next summertime. And I'm pretty pumped about that. Now, turns out we're just going to have to wait 5 more years after that, and we're going to get a Women's World Cup as well. Infantino told the UEFA Congress in Belgrade yesterday that the joint bid from England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland was the only valid bid of interest for the 2035 tournament after the deadline passed, with the United States also putting forward the only bid for the 2031 edition. the 31 bid from the US of A and potentially some other CONCACAF members together, and the 36 bid from the UK, Wales, Scotland, Ireland, and more leads to those tournaments effectively being default winners of those tournaments. I am super stoked about this, dudes. Super stoked about this because while I'm really hoping that the U.S. stops, what's the word I'm looking for here? Sucking at men's soccer over the next 14 months with effectively one tournament left to go, the Gold Cup. So that, like, maybe, because I'm 100% using most of my vacation next year to watch Team USA footy. Actually, I had a conversation this week with the folks over at the BetMGM network because they want to do a bunch of soccer betting stuff, and they're like, "Hey, do we have anybody here that loves soccer?" And I was like, hey. So I called the VP, and I'm like, "Hey, buddy, if you want to..."
Making them sound like that, probably not.
Yeah, probably not going to help my cause. You're not wrong.
Probably not.
But it just infuriated me that we got that many people working there, and they were like, "Hey, does anybody cover soccer, want to cover the World Cup?" And I'm the only one who said, yeah. I mean, that's great for me. So I called the VP of the network yesterday, and I'm like, "Hey, I'll go to every game. I'll cover them all." He's like, "All right, we might have you do that." So fingers crossed. If not, I'm just taking a bunch of vacation. I'm really excited about it. But we're actually good at women's soccer. We are the powerhouse on the planet in women's soccer, and now we get a 2031 Women's World Cup. Here's hoping I don't die before that because I'd really like to go to that too. And we'll obviously already have the infrastructure in place with the men's side happening here next year.
When is that?
2031. 6 years away.
Dude, stop it. You'll be fine.
I'll be 46.
Yeah? Once you crest...
That's ancient in brown jeans.
Once you crest 40, it's basically the same day every day. So you're fine.
It's like the world's crappiest Groundhog's Day. All right. We got a lot we got to get to on the radio program today. We talked a little draft earlier. We're going to revisit a little bit of draft. There's also a very interesting soundbite that is making the rounds on the social media right now. Dear Clemson fans, you're being indicted by Connor Stallions. Yay! Drama! I love it so much. What is Connor saying? Not saying, but also kind of saying, a little saying. Not really outwardly saying, inwardly saying, but saying enough. I'll tell you when we come back. I'm Rob. He's Lonzo. You're listening to The Rob Brown Show. You're listening to The Fan Upstate. I had not seen this clip. Is that what you were listening to a minute ago?
Yes, it was. The TPS report, often jokingly referred to in the movie Office Space, is a document, specifically a test procedure specification used in software engineering and quality assurance to outline the procedures and processes for testing the software or system. There we go. Now you still don't know what it is. It's a software testing thing. Yeah.
Yes, Spartanburg J, you do remember someone on the station saying the Braves will start 0-7 and that I was going to come in here today and point that out and then got told by a bunch of people that I was crazy and I was a negative Nancy, et cetera, et cetera. And oh, by the way, I was exactly correct. Thank you.
Wow, look at you. I bet you're so proud to be right about that.
I hate knowing ball sometimes, guys. But I do.
Do you? Do you really?
I hate knowing ball. Be right back. For some reason, all my audio stinks, but I got to play this clip for you anyway. It's a very short clip. It is a clip featuring the legendary, the iconic, the infamous Connor Stallions. Hey, Lonzo, you remember Connor Stallions, don't you?
Yeah, I do. I took the last bite. You know, it was the last bite.
Oh, I didn't know you were reading.
Yeah. It's okay.
I'm
aware that he helped some team cheat to win the national championship and other games possibly.
On Tuesday's show on BetMGM tonight, when I was in with Ryan Horvath, Ryan, like right before we came back on the air, took a bite of a protein bar, but he did not know, and Mario told him after he took the bite that it was an older protein bar, so it was super chalky. He was fighting for his life trying to get the intro to the show out, and it got to the point where he just pointed at me. He's like you talk. So you're not alone. We've all been there. We've all experienced the struggle.
I used to do that on purpose to another host and not let him know we were coming back.
Connor Stallions, who was the football analyst for the Michigan Wolverines, was on the Crane and Company podcast, and he said this.
I mean, I'm aware of an ACC school who had apparently, I mean, I don't care to prove this or whatever, but I've heard from multiple different people around the country that there's a certain team that had already been having Bluetooth to the quarterback before it was even a thing. I mean,
Oh, that was quick. So the accusation here was that before communications between the sideline and the quarterbacks was legal, headset comms, if you will, after Nick Saban and others lobbied, advocated for it, and it was approved, Connor Stallions said that he was of the belief that a particular Atlantic Coast Conference team already had Bluetooth communications inside the helmet of their quarterbacks long before it was legalized. And what's very interesting about this is that I've seen this clip. I saw this clip a couple of times on social media after Lonzo sent it to me earlier this AM. I was like, oh, this is quite interesting. Let me go look up and see kind of where this is going. And as I looked up and I saw this trending a little bit and saw some of the reactions and whatnot to it, and I looked around the internet, the internet widely believes that it's Clemson. He never,
at least from the clip, he doesn't come right out and say that.
He does not?
Yeah, I mean, I would guess he'd be talking about a winning team. I mean, you know, some team that had won a lot. And they would be one of those. So, I don't know.
Connor Stallions said, I'll take the whole college football landscape with me. It's pretty spectacular. So he gets.
Who knew that guy would still be relevant?
Oh, he's gonna be a character in the podcast world for a very long time, because at this point, everybody with a mic wants to talk to this cat for exactly what's happening right now. They want to try to get something out of Connor Stallions that nobody else has got. The Michigan cheating scandal, I would argue, is the biggest cheating scandal, even though it has not been treated that way since it happened. It is the biggest cheating scandal in a very long time in college football. It was something that a lot of people got very interested and intrigued by, and they made a whole ass documentary just about it. And it was one of the most watched sports documentaries of the last year. And so Connor Stallions being the central figure of that, put it this way, Joe Exotic is still in the news. Tiger King dropped 5 years ago during COVID. Joe Exotic still in the news, okay? Like, when America finds a fascination in something, it sticks. And so, considering this is one of the biggest sports stories in recent memory, everybody with a mic wants a piece of the action. so that they can get a clip going viral like Crane and Company just did with this interview with Connor Stallions. So he says, hey, I'm not gonna tell you who it is. I'm not gonna say who it is, but I am aware of an ACC program that was utilizing Bluetooth tech before it was allowed for the sidelines to talk to the quarterback. And there's some interesting angles, discussions here. One is that Connor Stallions is a lying cheater. A lying cheater.
No way.
I know. And so when you have lying cheaters, ordinarily you just want to disregard everything that they have to say. So I kind of want to just disregard everything he has to say. On the flip side, Connor Stallions doesn't really have a whole lot to lose no more. There's not really much that you can take away from him. By the way, I do love that he showed up to do this pod with Crane and Co. in a big old maize and blue Michigan pullover. That's pretty spectacular. He doesn't care. Now, there's some more angles to this that are very interesting, aside from the fact that he's a pathological liar and cheater. I don't want to say pathological. That's probably logical liar. I do know he is a liar and he is a cheater. And I know that as he has both lied and cheated.
Or he's a patsy and he took the fall for one Jim Harbaugh.
Still a liar, right? Still a liar and a cheater.
You're right.
Still a liar and a cheater, even if he's lying on behalf of someone else. Still a liar and a cheater. There's a couple of other things that are interesting. He said Bluetooth. Now, so I'm a big Bluetooth guy. I got Bluetooth in the rig. I got Bluetooth speakers in every room in the house. They're all named after everyone. So as I walk through the house and I'm listening to a pod or a show on the Odyssey app, AUDACY, it's free. Download it today. Search and follow the Fan Upstate. Listen to the Rob Brown Show and our fine programming anywhere in your life. And you can use Bluetooth speakers because I will quite literally, as I walk through my house, jump on the Google Pixel, swipe down, swipe over to Bluetooth, click that button, and just click on the one in bedroom, bro cave, kitchen, living room, whatever, and I'll move the sound around the house with me. Big Bluetooth guy. Here's the thing. The Bluetooth speaker in my living room does not work when I am in the bro cave. The Bluetooth speaker in the bro cave does not work when I am in the kitchen. The signal's not good enough. Now, granted, it's going through a couple of walls to get there, but like, the range on my Bluetooth speaker kind of checks out around 15, 20 feet. Our house is long. It's not like a big square. It's like a row. It's like a long house. But when I go from one side of the house to the other, the Bluetooth connection doesn't work. Now, that's not to say that there's not more powerful Bluetooth. What I am saying is, the Google Pixel is amazing, and it's got great range from what I've been able to tell. It's got better range than my wife's iPhone, and yet I can't reach the other side of my house.
I get where you're going with this, but how do NFL teams? What devices are they using to communicate with their quarterbacks? I just assumed it was Bluetooth.
I have also assumed it was Bluetooth. I believe that it is Bluetooth. So that is part of the reason that I'm like, I'm not gonna use that.
All right, here's
to write that off.
Here's a problem I have with this. All right, supposedly, Dabo doesn't embrace modern things. At least that's what I've heard from everyone. So, he doesn't use the transfer portal. He's still having trouble using a cell phone and all these jokes that you hear about. How could he possibly use something so advanced and underhanded if he can't do all those other things?
I don't know. That's why this is interesting. Is this a baseless, wild, speculative guess?
Perhaps
from Connor Stallions?
An enterprising Ute that come up with a solution. But I would think if that were true, the people in charge would know that. You couldn't just say, well, the offensive coordinator knew it, but I didn't know that. I mean, These are just accusations. We don't know. What he's talking about.
I do not know what happened. I do not know what Connor Stallions is talking about here. Here's what I do know. What I do know is that Connor Stallions has thrown a few accusations out there that have gained a little bit of traction He's thrown out a couple of accusations that have had a little bit of momo behind them. And on top of that, again, it is more than anything else, and this might be the thing we should have let off with here. The speculation is that he's talking about Clemson. Spartanburg J just popped into the chat. He goes, it sounds more like FSU than Clemson. I don't know. What I am saying
Actually,
is...
it sounds more like Miami, but I mean,
What I am saying is it would not shock me if an ACC team, and by an ACC team, I mean a lot of college football programs.
Maybe, Rob, maybe it was Georgia Tech.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, Tech, Georgia Tech, maybe. I'm just saying.
It would not shock me if over the years moving forward, we found out that there were a lot, that's a good joke, by the way, a lot of college football programs that did shady, underhanded things in order to gain an advantage because
he said shady,
sports.
by the way. He absolutely said shady.
What do you think I said?
Let's move on.
Okay. All right. So, interesting enough, Connor Stallion says, I know of an ACC team that was cheating, and the online speculation immediately goes, damn, Clemson. I don't know. That's it. That's the whole conversation. It's just interesting. Back after this, The Rob Brown Show, The Fan Upstate. Field Yates says Jackson Dart going 21st.
By the way, he said Google Pickle on purpose. So, I mean, that wasn't a slip.
Will Howard or Spencer Rattler, who should the Saints keep on the roster? If they got to pick one of those two.
They're not going to draft Will Howard. Will Howard's going to drop. He shouldn't because he had a bad day at the.
They just have us picking him at like 39th or whatever.
Now, how accurate are they? I know it's what they get paid to do.
Where do you think he's going?
Will Howard?
Yeah.
I don't know. It depends on how much they take into account a bad combine, which wasn't as bad as they made it out to be. If you watch his entirety of what he did at the combine, did he have some bad throws? Yes, but at his pro day, I think it was perfect or near perfect. So I don't know. The only reason why New Orleans would take another quarterback is if Carr is going to be gone.
Because
is he better than Spencer Rattler? I don't know.
I mean, Rattler got all the starts last year, but Jake Hayner's still on the roster too, and they've given him some money as a backup.
If they do, I think it would be Carr that would be gone, not Rattler.
I mean, only if somebody wants him.
Could always just, cut him.
They can't. Too much money.
Too much money?
Yep.
Well, you could, but they probably won't. It doesn't make financial sense.
It'd be pointless. You couldn't replace him.
Don't be going too far because I got to cut this a little bit. Don't start that, Kane.
Cracker!
Good morning.
You stay classy.
I get frustrated when I look at athletes that ruin their own legacies. I get frustrated with when I see an athlete who it's very clear that a legacy is being ruined. I look, for instance, at Josh Allen up in Buffalo because I think Josh Allen's a guy who theoretically should win at least a Super Bowl, right? Like if Brad Johnson got one, Josh Allen should get one. And I look at Buffalo and I'm like, way to do the same thing.
I
over
really
and over,
like
guys.
that guy, so he should get that.
Josh Allen is one of the 2 most talented quarterbacks in the NFL. That's
your opinion.
Okay. That's a lot of people's opinion.
There have been a lot of talented quarterbacks in the NFL who never won a Super Bowl.
I don't disagree, and I get frustrated for them too, specifically when it is a franchise's, an organization's fault. And in my opinion, it's Josh Allen's. Or excuse me, it's Buffalo's, not Josh Allen's.
Or maybe they just can't win the big one.
But this is not a conversation about Josh Allen. He's involved in it, but it's not a conversation about him. I get more frustrated when an athlete can't stop getting in his own way. Enter South Carolina's own Ja Morant. Did you see what this clown did a couple of days ago? This is a dude that I have been rooting for since he made his way into the league. This is a dude that the first year, his rookie year in the league, I'm like, yo, this guy's got face of the league potential written on him. Now, I've kind of fallen off of the face of the league conversation, much like a couple of other guys like Shaq. I'm like, what's it really mean, right? Like Chuck Barkley, I think, asked that question. He's like, what's that really mean? Now, I think we all know what it means. Who's the marquee, right? Like if we're going to put up a poster that says, watch the NBA tonight and every team's in action, who's the guy that you're putting the big picture on the top if it's a movie poster? And the answer right now is obviously LeBron James, even at 40 years of age. And there's a conversation about other guys, Anthony Edwards, Jason Tatum, Nikola Jokic, yada, yada, yada. And then there are guys who don't want to be the face of the league. My response has always been, it's not really up to you. It's not really up to you if you're face of the league. It's up to us. It's up to the people. It's up to the fans, right? It's up to us who is the face of the league. Now, you can lean into it, as guys like LeBron James have done. You can lean away from it, as Jason Tatum right now is having one of the best years that any NBA player's had in a very long time. And he's very rarely talked about, and that's of his own design. But he's going to be talked about as the Celtics make a run to another NBA title. The conversation of face of the league is a very interesting one to me. Enter Ja Morant, because I thought Ja Morant was a guy who could very well be a face of the league. And yet, Ja Morant can't get out of his own bleeping way. Ja Morant has had, we'll just say for the sake of being careful, altercations with teenagers during pickup basketball games. Ja Morant has on multiple occasions put up social media videos where he's flashing guns around. And again, Rob Brown's not anti-gun. I am a firearm enjoyer and owner. But there's a difference between I safely go to the range, I safely take my 30-aught out into the woods, versus I'm flinging it around in the front seat of my Land Rover on an Instagram Live. Especially after I've been told, don't do that again. So, Ja Morant's got that legacy being directly connected to the negative aspects of firearm utilization. The other night, the Memphis Grizzlies were taking on the Golden State Warriors. That was the game that Steph Curry scored 52 points and made a dozen three-pointers, and for a hot minute was threatening the NBA's all-time record for most three-pointers made in one individual game. And obviously that drew, as it should have, deservedly so, all of the attention, because that dude is very good at basketball, Steph Curry. Very good at basketball. Well, at one point during the game, a timeout was called. Ja Morant had just gone on a hater, had just scored a bucket. Golden State calls a timeout to kind of slow the bleeding a little bit. He's walking back over the bench, and when you know it, he looks over at the Golden State Warriors bench, and what does he do? But he brings up his arm, and he simulates shooting a gun at the Golden State Warriors. Now, we already know that the whole simulating a firearm thing is very frowned upon by professional sports leagues. The NFL has prohibited it to the tune of a 15-yard penalty. The NBA has prohibited it to the tune of a technical foul. And here's Ja Morant, a dude who has repeatedly been in trouble for improper utilization, we'll say, of a firearm. walking off the court while, and you got to know at this point, Steph Curry's on fire. Steph Curry's knocking down everything he throws at the rim. The dude's firing up logo threes that are so clean, they're not even hitting the net on the way through, just straight through. And at a spot, at a moment where you know Steph Curry is doing something very special. And a moment where you know Steph Curry is doing something that is going to have your game trending on Twitter. This man walks to the sideline and simulates firing a rifle into the Golden State Warriors team. And my favorite part is that Golden State, coached by Steve Kerr, not a dumb team. Quite the opposite. Pretty intelligent basketball team. Draymond Green exempted. All of them.
Draymond Green's pretty smart.
Draymond Green is smart. He's just dumb.
Yeah.
There's a difference. You can be smart and dumb. You can be smart and smart. You can be smart and dumb. You can be dumb and dumb. You can be dumb and real dumb. And you can just be a dumbass. I would say Draymond Green's very smart for being that dumb. But in that moment, if you go watch the replay, it's wildly hilarious to me. Because John Moran, a guy that could, should, would be in the competition, in the conversation to be face of the NBA, a guy that could, if he wanted to, when LeBron steps down, be the guy the NBA goes, he's young, he's wildly talented, the Grizz are good. We're going to make this guy the guy that we use to advertise the league. What's that get him? It gets him shoe deals. It gets him acting roles if he wants them. It gets him marquees. It gets him endorsements. It gets him sponsorships. It gets him millions of dollars. But he just can't stop. So he fires the simulated rifle at the Warriors, and there's a camera view from across the court up in the bleachers, up in the stands. And you see, like, every Golden State Warrior player look at the refs and be like, you see that, right? Like, you see what he's doing, yeah? You're watching him right now. The gun guy. That's the gun guy. Do the gun thing. You do have eyes on this, correct? Like, the whole Golden State Warrior squad is like, bro, what are we doing here? It is incredibly frustrating to me. And he is not, obviously, the first player who refuses to get out of his own way. He's not the only guy that prevented themselves from having a better legacy by just being a clown, right? Now, some of these guys that I'm going to put on this list are guys that you're like, yeah, I mean, could have been better, could have been worse, right? But, like, I kind of put him in the conversation now with Antonio Brown at this point. Like, I'm trying to think, is that too far? But I don't think it is. Antonio Brown was one of the best wide receivers of his era, but just refused to stop punching himself in his own groin, metaphorically speaking. Just refused to stop with the weird behavior. And again, I am also willing to say some of these guys ain't, I don't know how to say this. I don't want to be insensitive because as I started the show off with when we talked about Michi Johnson, who is transferring back to South Carolina, transferred to South Carolina from Ohio State, transferred back to Ohio State. Now he's transferring back to South Carolina. Played 10 games last year for the Buckeyes and then took off the rest of the year saying he needed a mental health break. I support that. I support any of you out there who go, you know what? I'm hitting a wall. I need a mental health break. I think it is admirable to recognize that. I think it is admirable to understand that, and I think it is admirable to say, I'm going to give myself the break that I need. I do. So 2-1. I think I was trying to clear my nose because the other option was on the air, and I didn't want to do that.
Oh, yeah. You didn't want to do that, even though you just did that.
Well, that time I did just because I had to make a point. I think it is admirable that happens. I also understand that some of these cats, they have issues. And I think Antonio Brown's one of those guys. But that does not change the fact that Antonio Brown could have had a legacy of one of the all-times. But he couldn't get out of his own way. I genuinely think Michael Vick could have gone down as one of football's favorite all-time players. He played for the Atlanta Falcons. Y'all, I despise the Atlanta Falcons. And even I loved watching Michael Vick play in his prime. But the stuff that Michael Vick was doing outside of football made it, even if he has served his sentence, paid his penance, whatever, I'm never able to look at Michael Vick the same way. And all he had to do was not run a dogfighting ring. That's all he had to do. And he would have gone down as one of football's all-time favorites. Gilbert Arenas, who, again, redemption arc. Gilbert Arenas' podcast right now, I got to tell you, has been fire. He's got a lot of bad hot takes, but it's also wildly entertaining. He's got great guests on from the NBA. They have some interesting conversations. Sometimes I hate Gilbert Arenas' takes. Sometimes I love him. But it's interesting. It's compelling. It's entertaining. But Gilbert Arenas was a dude who would not stop getting into trouble with his own teammates, had an altercation with a teammate, brought a gun into the locker room at one point. Ruined his own reputation, ruined his own legacy. Gilbert Arenas could have been, I'm not going to say he would have ever been like face of the league legacy, but Gilbert Arenas could have been in that top 10 point guards of all time conversation. I think he was that good at his prime, but he just couldn't stop punching himself in his own junk. It is so disappointing when you see athletes like this, like Ja. Just go to the huddle, dog. Like after Ja took his suspension, I think a lot of us, I can only speak for me, but based on my interactions in the sports talk media landscape, I think a lot of us were like, man, the dude's young and dumb. The dude's young and dumb, and he did a young and dumb thing. And I'm going to let a young and dumb dude do a young and dumb thing. I'm going to let him off the hook. That's stupid. I also did a lot of dumb things when I was Ja Morant's age. I'm twice Ja Morant's age, and I still do a lot of dumb things. I'm not going to pin this on him for the rest of his career. But, man, if you can't learn your own lesson, if the NFL popped you with a suspension, and oh, by the way, even if that wasn't enough, this is also happening at the same time, well, a week after, Memphis fired Taylor Jenkins, their head coach, a guy who's had success with this team, a guy who built the Memphis Grizzlies, used to be a laughingstock of the league, built them into something interesting, something special. Memphis fires him, and the narrative right now is that Ja Morant's a coach killer. That Ja Morant is a coach killer. That this is on him. And that is a narrative that is exacerbated by the fact that the day after Taylor Jenkins, who is widely liked across the NBA, the day after he's fired, Ja Morant's dad is going on 50 podcasts, be like, oh, Taylor Jenkins just never really got the best out of Ja, never really brought the best out of Ja, never really, but shut up. What are you talking about? Ja Morant was borderline face of the league for a minute there, and he did dumb things on his own. This is not on Taylor Jenkins. Is Taylor Jenkins supposed to follow Ja around and be like, hey, maybe put the pistol away,
Yeah,
Ja?
it's been known to happen where coaches will assign a coach to go around with a player. It's happened before, I'm pretty sure.
Even if that is the case, Ja Morant was in a position to possibly become a guy who was going to be the representative of the NBA. Ja Morant was a guy that was going to make Pelicans fans hate the franchise because we passed on Ja Morant to go get Zion Williamson. It was going to go down as one of the all-time oopsie draft picks. Could have had Ja Morant, could have had a great. And instead, the dude can't stop bleeping up, right? And so here he goes. He gets the suspension. He gets his coach fired, which at this point, I'm convinced he wanted to happen. That's why T. Morant had everything ready to go to be on 50 podcast the next day, right? I'm not saying it is what happened. I'm saying my speculation is this was Ja going to the Grizz. Hey, I don't like this guy. Get him out of here or get me out of here. And the Grizz went, well, we can't lose you, man. Even if you are an idiot, we can't lose you. All this happens 3 days later. 3 days later, the season after he gets popped and suspended for half the season for being an idiot, he fake fires a rifle into the Golden State bench. Like, it is wildly frustrating to see an athlete who just refuses to not screw himself over, especially when the dude could be an all-time great. Speaking of all-time greats, Lonzo with a sports flash. Oh, that was a good one. That was a good one. I nailed that one.
I got nothing. You're right. The seventh consecutive loss of the Atlanta Braves was the most dramatic so far. Atlanta held a 5-0 lead over the Dodgers after just 2 innings, courtesy of 3 Los Angeles errors and RBI doubles from Nick Allen, Ozzie Albies, and Matt Olson. However, the Braves wouldn't find the plate again. The Dodgers downed the Braves 6-5. The Greenville Swamp Rabbits dropped a tough 4-3 loss to Jacksonville at home last night. Carter Savoy recorded a multi-point performance with a pair of goals, but the Icemen scored on 2 of 3 power plays opportunities. The Rabbits rematched Jacksonville on the road Friday before home games against Atlanta and South Carolina on Saturday and Sunday. Tune in this afternoon from 3 to 7 p.m. for Wire to Wire. Call Bryson and Diesel Ride Shotgun on your drive home. Get you up to date on the latest local and national sports news. Great guests, great debate, whole lot of fun. It's all Wire to Wire. You can be legendarily bad, Stephen. I have probably peaked, though, and can probably not do any better than what I do. Can definitely do worse, and have, and will again. Eventually, I will have to stop making the font bigger and just put my glasses on. Eventually. In all honesty, I lost all track of time because I just looked up at my screen and saw like 2 kids burying their dad in the sand, and then his head was out of the sand, and then lightning struck, and it turns out it was one of those fireman shows. From what I can tell, it definitely would be an upgrade as far as specs go and everything. I'm going to really deep dive before Saturday, and all I know is Matthew is very excited about it. I do have some Nintendo products, but I've never been a big-time Nintendo guy.
Get into horses. Is it true that Switch 2 games are going to be $80? Worth it. Worth it. Worth it. That's too much. That's too much. That is a console killer.
Actually, Game Pass is trending because people are saying, why would I do that when I could just get Game Pass?
Exactly.
Although I'm about to rage quit one of the free games that, Atom Fall, because I can't. I know how to beat the last part. I just can't. I could go down to story mode to beat it probably, but.
Are you playing like online multiplayer?
No.
Hang on, I'm tying my shoe. My shoe came untied.
Welcome into the Rob Brown Show. Rob is tying the shoe.
My shoe was untied. It was really
because
bothering me.
Apparently it's necessary to have a tied shoe.
I moved my feet. I was stepping on my shoelace. I didn't realize I was stepping on my shoelace until I damn near knocked myself over.
Why are you wearing shoes today? I mean, you've been wearing sandals all week.
Because I had brown flip-flops and I put on a dark gray shirt. They didn't go. They didn't match.
You're right. I would have definitely judged you over that.
I would have judged. Doesn't matter if you did. I would have judged.
All right.
And appropriately so. And appropriately so. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. The Rob Brown Show's on the radio. It's the fan upstate. Rob, the great one, Lonzo, and you. This is ordinarily the spot where Lulu Kesson of the Greenville News would join us to talk South Carolina basketball and soon baseball. But Lulu Kesson is, as we speak, in an NCAA media availability period. Probably talking to Don Staley and the Gamecock basketball team. What with the whole they're playing in the Final Four again tomorrow conversation. So Lulu Kesson will join us tomorrow on the show. Ordinarily at 8:40 today, we would have the legendary Rashad Beard join us on the program from the Panther Nation podcast. But Rashad has his real job, the one we can't talk about, has his real job today and a doctor's appointment tomorrow. So unfortunately, no Rashad Beard this week. He will rejoin the program in his regularly scheduled time slot next week on the show.
Right.
Yep, I said that too.
Yeah, I was just going to gloss over that because I think it's still accurate, the spot word. Everybody else is bowed out today. I've decided to not do Fight Club.
No, that's not going to work for me, brother.
It's not cool. Everybody else gets to go, no, I got a thing. And I can't do that.
Mario's here.
Because I'm here. Oh, okay. All right, never mind. I'm good.
Hayden asked Mario will be here at 9 o'clock.
I don't think you mentioned Mario, but it's because they interrupted.
Guys, no, it's because Mario's the only one who didn't say no to me. Scratch that. You know what?
Those are good people who had to postpone. So
those are good people.
Yes.
I'm not, for the record, not upset. As I told Lulu Kesson texted me yesterday at last night, I should say, at 10:30 p.m. And she's like, quote, I am so sorry. I forgot to have NCAA media tomorrow at 8 o'clock. Is it okay if we do Friday? I was like, Friday it is. The audacity, and I said the same thing to Rashad. The audacity of you telling me that you have to do your job instead of doing the interview that you do for free every week. You're fine. We're locked in for Friday. And her response, Lonzo, was, and I quote,
Slay.
That's awesome.
The vibes are unmatched. Slay.
I was like, yep, slay indeed. Slay indeed. So, Lulu Kesson will join the show tomorrow, where we will talk about the Gamecocks' run to the Final Four in women's basketball. We will preview the matchup tomorrow evening. And then we will talk natty, should the Gamecocks make it there. And then next week, when Lulu Kesson joins, we will hopefully be breaking down the Gamecocks' run to another national championship. Or, if they don't make it there, what went wrong? And Lulu Casson covers baseball for the school and for the newspaper as well. So we will start to switch our interviews with Lulu Casson over to the hardwood. Rashad Beard, I'm a little bummed out that he's not here. I mean, I'm bummed out they're both not here. Lulu will be with us tomorrow. I'm bummed out that Rashad Beard can't make it this week. And I'm bummed out because, A, we're effectively 3 weeks away from the NFL draft tomorrow, A. And B, I really want his thoughts on this Tet McMillan thing. Because Rashad is a dude who has mentioned a couple of times. He is kind of looking forward to seeing the Carolina Panthers end up with a wide receiver in the draft. And I think, based on the fact that there's a handful of very good edge rushers in this draft, led, of course, by Abdul Carter out of Pennsylvania State University. There's also a lot of NFL teams that need edge rushers. And edge rusher is a relatively, though not widely, relatively deep position. But Ryan Horvath and I on Tuesday's BetMGM tonight were talking about this. Of the 9 teams from 1 through the New Orleans Saints at number 9 that need an edge rusher, I think we decided 7 of them have edge rusher as a need. Tennessee has edge rusher as a need. Cleveland probably doesn't need an edge rusher because they re-signed Myles Garrett to a new contract, though there is increasing smoke right now that Myles Garrett, remember the whole saga of Myles Garrett was, I'm not re-signing. The door is shut. There's no chance in Hades that I'm coming back to C-Town. And then like 3 days later, he came back to C-Town. There is an increasing number of rumors out there that the reason Myles Garrett signed a new contract was because Cleveland said, do us a solid. We want to trade you. But in order to trade you, we got to get you signed. So here's what we'll do. We're going to sign you to the highest non-quarterback contract in the National Football League. And when we do, we will then trade you to another team that will have to pick up that contract. And we will end up having to eat some of that money, but that is also a guarantee that via a percentage of it from us and a percentage of it from another team, you will get that much money, you will get that contract paid out correctly, and we'll get you up out of here. And that Myles Garrett effectively said, you know what, that's going to guarantee me that I'm going to get paid. So I'll go ahead and take it. And even if I don't, even if nobody wants to pick up that contract, I'm still going to have the highest salary of any non-quarterback in the National Football League. But Cleveland wants to trade Myles Garrett. In fact, I don't believe this before I even say it. I do not believe this. I do not believe this. One more time. I do not believe this. But this is a rumor going around on the social media world right now. The social media rumor of choice right this very second is that Cleveland is working with the Dallas Cowboys on a framework that would send Myles Garrett to Dallas straight up in return for Dak Prescott.
Yeah, that's one of those. You look at it and go, what day is it? Okay, It's April Fool's. Yeah, I was seeing it before then, though. I don't believe that one.
I don't either, just so we're clear. I do not believe that that is a real thing. But be honest, we could totally see that out of both of those teams, right? We could absolutely see that happening with Cleveland and Dallas. Myles Garrett, straight up for Dak Prescott. Cleveland gets their quarterback. Now they have the ability to draft a not quarterback at number 2, assuming, as most people are, we had, I think, 3 draft experts on BetMGM on Tuesday night. And we asked around all of our guests, and all of them said Tennessee's drafting a quarterback. They're done with Will Levis. The belief right now is that the Titans are done with Will Levis, so they're going to go quarterback, probably Cam Ward, possibly Shedeur Sanders. But what it would do is it would free up Cleveland to take Abdul Carter to replace Myles Garrett because they have Dak Prescott as their starting quarterback, and Myles Garrett gets his way. He gets out of there. Dallas gets to pair Myles Garrett with Micah Parsons. Micah goes, okay, I'll re-sign now. Gerard was saying earlier this week that he is, and this ought to inspire just mountains of confidence in Cowboys fans. Gerard said that he has been personally leading the conversation with Micah Parsons to get him to sign a new contract in Dallas. And, if Gerard is involved, how could anything go poorly?
Yeah, but at the same time, secretly or not secretly, they're selectively aggressive. So that trade that you mentioned, that would be selectively aggressive.
It would be selectively aggressive. Yeah. Now, could they afford? And this is partially the reason that I don't believe this. I don't think they could afford to pay both Myles Garrett and Micah Parsons. They would have the best edge rush duo in the history of the National Football League. But they could not add anything to the offense except through the draft. So it would become, you've got the best edge rushing tandem in the history of football, and you've got CeeDee Lamb, question mark at quarterback, and a bunch of rookies. You'd have to draft almost exclusively rookies if you're the Cowboys. That's why I don't believe this rumor. Now, it is Cleveland, and it is Dallas. It is Gerald. So, it's on the table. It's a possibility. But I don't think they're going to send Dak out of town and do so to end up in a position where they do not have a quarterback available to them. And that's a problem. That's a problem. So I'm kind of up in the air on this whole thing. I'm kind of up in the air on how this works out. That being said, the edge rush scenario, if this was to play out that way, the edge rush scenario to me is very interesting because if Tennessee does go quarterback, which again right now seems to be the expectation, and Cleveland does indeed decide to go quarterback as well. So Cam and Shador come off the board 1-2. By the way, there is I mentioned the Dallas-Cleveland thing. Let me finish up that thought and then we'll move on. There is one more thought to that discussion, and that one more thought is that Cleveland sends Myles Garrett over to Dallas in return for Dak Prescott. Dallas then packages all the rest of their picks together to also trade with Cleveland to move to number 2. Guess who's going to be available at number 2? Shador Sanders. So they would go get Shador. They would make Shador the next starting quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. They would get Dion in line to potentially move up and become the next head coach of the Cowboys, which, again, I think would be a hilarious failure for Dallas. Not because of Dion's coaching ability or lack thereof, but just, could you imagine Dion the first time the Cowboys lose a dumb game and Jerry goes out there and gives a Jerry speech because Jerry Jones feels like after every Dallas Cowboys game, he's got to be the guy that speaks, and Dion gets ticked about it? Oh, please, inject it into my veins. That'd be incredible. So that's the other aspect of the rumor. The thought is Myles Garrett for Dak Prescott straight up. Dallas throws a couple of extra picks in there, and they pick swap. Cleveland drops down midway through the round. They send the second overall pick up to Dallas. That's in return for picking up Myles Garrett's contract. Or Dallas adds like a 5th, a 6th, and a 7th in there to level it out, whatever the case might end up being. But that's the rumor swirling around on the social media sphere right now. There are some other factors out there. Kirk Cousins' availability. We're going to talk about that coming up here in a few minutes. There is a rumor that, and I don't believe this one either, but there's a rumor going around right now that the New Orleans Saints are shopping Derek Carr and that they may have some interest. In fact, one of the rumors right now is that a part of the reason that Pittsburgh has not yet reached an agreement with Aaron Rodgers, even though everybody as of right now believes that that is the most likely landing spot for Aaron Rodgers, is because Pittsburgh and New Orleans may be in conversations about Derek Carr going up to Pittsburgh. And New Orleans basically giving the starting job to either Spencer Rattler or drafting a guy at 8, Jackson Dart perhaps, and just going YOLO, rolling out a rookie quarterback. Hopefully we get it right. We'll see. I personally hope it's Spencer Rattler. Not because I think Rat Daddy is going to be Rat Daddy, but because my wife bought a Spencer Rattler jersey this offseason, and if he's not a Saint next year, I might lose her as a Saints fan. And I can't afford that, okay? I can't afford that right now. I got to have her on board the Who Dat Nation wagon right now, so she'll keep watching football with me in the fall. Another conversation. That's a me problem, not a you problem, but you get it. So, with all of that being said, all of that being discussed, the edge rusher situation. I think a lot of it may have to do on whether or not that rumor going around that Myles Garrett may still be on his way out of Cleveland, even though he signed that extension. That's a huge piece of the puzzle. Because if, and that trade could wait as long as draft day, as that Thursday. It might be that Thursday, maybe 10 minutes before the draft starts, that we get breaking news from Shefty that says that Myles Garrett's on his way to blank. And that changes the entire perspective on the opening round. Part of the reason that I am waiting until Monday to reveal my first edition mock draft. Because I don't believe it, but I wanted to give it a little bit of time just to kind of see how it plays out. Now, if he does not go, I think you're going to see Cam Ward come off to Tennessee at number 1. I still believe Tennessee should give Will Levis a shot. Like, Will Levis was playing behind one of the worst 3 offensive lines in the National Football League in Tennessee last year. I don't think anybody could have succeeded last year with the Tennessee Titans. I think Tennessee, for whatever reason, has gotten off the hook a little bit for the team or lack thereof that they put in front of Will Levis last year. But every draft guy I've spoken to so far, like high-level draft dudes, have said that they genuinely believe Tennessee is done with Will Levis. So Tennessee's taking a QB at 1, probably Cam Ward. Cleveland is done. I think at this point, like Jimmy Haslam said at the team meetings earlier this week, that the Deshaun Watson trade was a, quote, big swing and a miss. It is the first time that the ownership group of the Cleveland Browns has weighed in on that move. They're done with Deshaun. So Cleveland goes Shedeur Sanders at number 2. And also, by the way, I don't find it coincidental that Deion Sanders at the end of last week grabs the mic and says, you know, I know I talked in the past about not letting Shedeur go certain places, but I'm not going to be a helicopter dad. I'm not going to stop Shedeur from going to play for any team. And then 3 days later, Jimmy Haslam grabs the mic and goes, the Deshaun Watson trade was a bust. That's my bad. That's our bad. Shedeur Sanders, number 2 to Cleveland. Now we sit at the New York Giants at number 3. They need a quarterback. They're not going to be one available. Now, I do think there is still the possibility that the New York Giants may put together an enormous package to trade up and trade spots with Tennessee so that they can grab a quarterback. I just do not know and have not heard that the G-men believe that Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders is their guy. I think the Giants would probably rather trade to number 2 and to go get Shedeur at the number 2 spot, because remember, Shedeur showed up to the, the Shriners game or whatever it was, wearing the Giants custom cleats. I think that conversation's already happened. So, I am going to go with Cam Ward to Tennessee at 1. New York tries but fails to trade up to 1 or 2. Shedeur goes number 2, Shedeur goes number 2 to Cleveland. Giants go offensive line at 3. That is the best possible scenario for the Carolina Panthers. Why? Because while I do not think Abdul Carter is going to drop all the way to number 8, it does push one of 2 or 3 other edge rushers to 8, and I think that's the direction that they go. I think they could have been in the market for a wide receiver. I think Tate McMillan screwed Tate McMillan. We talked about that earlier. We may bring it back up. We'll find out. But if those 3 picks play out that way to start the first round, Carolina should be very happy about that. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. I know is Spencer Rattler's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. And I can't wait, personally. All right, give me 30 seconds, guys. I'll be right back. The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. It's the Fan Upstate. Shefty's on Espen right now, and he's got a story. Shefty is claiming, Shefty is reporting that Ben Roethlisberger is saying that Aaron Rodgers doesn't want to be a Steeler. That's why he has not signed there yet. He is claiming that Aaron Rodgers is secretly holding out, quietly holding out for the Minnesota Vikings to decide that J.J. McCarthy's not the guy.
So how does he know that?
I have no idea.
I think it was just is it just Roethlisberger's opinion, or has he talked to Aaron?
No idea. I haven't heard the claim nor the segment yet, but it's got enough steam behind it because Ben Roethlisberger is still very plugged in with the Steelers. The Art Rooney has already said that the Steelers will wait for Aaron Rodgers, but, quote, not forever, end quote.
Where did the Steelers draft?
The draft order, as it stands, I mean, they.
So this isn't a draft tactic that you already know you got him signed, but you're waiting till after.
No.
Okay.
And I don't think first off, I don't think, and I'm going to say this, and it's going to aggravate you a little bit. I don't care. I don't think Aaron Rodgers is capable of getting signed and not making a deal out of it. I don't think he's got that. They're drafting 21st, which does put them in line for Jackson Dart.
A deal, you got to make a deal to sign, or why would you sign?
Correct. I don't think if they signed Aaron Rodgers, you'll know about it within 10 minutes. I don't think Aaron Rodgers isn't capable of keeping it a secret. And on top of that, I don't think the Steelers would be capable of keeping it a secret, if for no other reason than to calm their fan base down, because they're up in arms right now about the fact that they ain't got it. They're not rolling into the season with Mason Rudolph.
I think Aaron Rodgers keeps all kinds of secrets, but you're probably right. It's probably Pittsburgh couldn't keep it a secret because they'd be pretty excited about it, and fan base would be too.
So, with all of that being said, Big Ben, who is still plugged into that franchise, is claiming that Aaron Rodgers is secretly quietly holding out to be a Minnesota Viking, hoping that they recognize that J.J. McCarthy ain't him, ain't the guy, ain't ready, whatever. I can use this as an opportunity to make it about me. Remember the last couple of years I've been telling you I don't think the Minnesota Vikings made Kirk Cousins and Sam Darnold look good, not the other way around?
I thought you were talking about you. We're making it about you.
I am making it about me.
Okay, all right.
Because I know ball. You know how the last 2 seasons in a row I've said that it's not the quarterback that made the Vikings, it's the Vikings that made the quarterback? Aaron Rodgers ain't dumb. All right? He's got some takes that I think are dumb, but he as a person ain't dumb. And I think he sees that. I think he knows that. I think he understands that. And because he sees that, knows that, understands that, I think Aaron Rodgers is looking at this and going, they damn near earned Sam Darnold a $100 million deal. If they can earn Sam Darnold a $100 million deal, I'd definitely go get one, right? Aaron Rodgers can definitely go get one if that's the case. So, I don't know. I'm kind of interested in this. I'm kind of intrigued in seeing what this story ends up looking like. If that is indeed the case, if this is the play, frankly. If this is the play, if Aaron Rodgers is going to make the play to end up a Viking, and more importantly, I think what that ends up doing for or maybe 2, the Pittsburgh Steelers, because I do think that by and large, a lot of what happens with the quarterbacks, specifically Jackson Dart, I think Will Howard out of Ohio State to some degree as well. I think what's going to happen in regards to those cats is also going to be predicated based on where and if Aaron Rodgers signs anywhere. If he ends up in Minnesota, all of a sudden Pittsburgh at 21 may very well have to get a quarterback, and not just get one, they may have to start a rookie quarterback, and not a Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders rookie quarterback, but a Jackson Dart, Will Howard quarterback. Because again, they're not rolling in with Mason Rudolph as number 1. They may be up in the air. They may be up in the air. And if they are, that changes a lot for the rest of the draft. Not just because it takes a quarterback off the board at 21 that a lot of people think may be the heir to the Stafford throne in L.A., not just because it takes a quarterback off, but maybe the heir to the Goff throne in Detroit, who is drafting 2 spots behind the Rams at 28. Heck, I would say at some point, great one, and I don't think it's this year, just so we're clear, but I would say at some point, your Chiefs probably need to start looking for the QB that is going to take over the Mahomes throne down the line. Again, I don't think it's anytime soon, but if a guy like a Jackson Dart was available there, a guy that you think maybe a year or 2 under the baby goat could get some time and start to fill in that spot, maybe that changes something for the Kansas City Chiefs at 31. I don't know. But if Rodgers really is holding out to be a Viking, and if Minnesota does eventually get to the point where they go, you know what, J.J. McCarthy ain't it, maybe we drafted too high, or maybe he needs a little bit of time to figure it out, and they do go with Aaron Rodgers, that could wreak a little bit of havoc down the streak a little bit. I think everybody's been kind of working on the assumption that Aaron Rodgers was going to be a Steeler for no other reason than it's the last available place. But apparently he has some reason to believe, if Big Ben is correct, he has some reason to believe that maybe he still does end up with the Minnesota Vikings. This is fun. I like draft talk. Hey, speaking of, since we're here, Trey Hendrickson was on the Cincinnati Bengals. He was given permission at the end of last year. A year in which he had, 17 sacks? Sorry, 17 and a half sacks.
Yeah,
Sorry. 17 and a half sacks, 2 consecutive seasons in a row.
Yeah, don't shortchange him.
Yeah.
He's pretty good.
He's real good. That would be, of course, former New Orleans Saint Trey Hendrickson, who, much like former New Orleans Saint Zach Baum, has turned into a world-class defender that we decided not to pay and instead just put ourselves in cap hell for not 2 all-pro defenders. But that's a personal problem. Trey Hendrickson was on the McAfee show yesterday, and he was upset about a comment made by Bengals Executive Vice President Katie Blackburn. Katie Blackburn was at the NFL owners meetings, and as of right now, when you're at the NFL owners meetings, you get a microphone. And Blackburn decided she needed to talk about Trey Hendrickson. Katie Blackburn said, quote, I think he should be happy at certain rates that maybe he doesn't think he'd be happy at. I think some of it is on him to be happy at some point, and if he's not, that's what holds it up sometimes. So, it takes him to say yes to something, and also we have all the respect in the world for him. First off, Katie, you're supposed to put the with all due respect at the beginning of the disrespectful thing. You're supposed to open with all due respect and then say the disrespectful thing. You got it backwards, Katie. It's an easy mistake to make.
Yeah, I don't know where that rule is written.
It's just one of those rules of grammar that, there are certain unspoken societal rules of grammar. Have you ever heard the rule about the proper order that nobody ever wrote down, but the proper order of describing something via adjectives? Like how you describe a thing, there's a proper order. So if I was to want to talk about, say, Clifford, you would say Clifford, the big red dog. Because the size always goes before the color. And I can prove that because if I said Clifford, the red big dog, you'd go, that's not the right order of those words. If I was talking about any other dog, let's say I was talking about Leonard, the orange small puppy. You go, no, it's small orange puppy. Right? Even though that's not written down. That's not an official rule of the English language. But the proper order of adjectives is a thing that we have all agreed and subscribed to, even though we didn't know we did it. Okay? The rule is you say no disrespect, and then you say the disrespectful thing, not say the disrespectful thing and then end it with, we have all the respect in the world for him. This is a really good way, Katie Blackburn, a really good way to make sure that nobody wants to come play for your football team. If I was Joe Burrow, I would be heated this morning. Heated. Because Trey Hendrickson could still be a Bengal. One of the best edge rushers in the National Football League. Could still be a Bengal. The team that had a quarterback who threatened 5,000 yards and threw for 100,000 touchdowns, and by the way, was able to talk not one but 2 of the top 6 wide receivers in the National Football League into both staying with that team that, again, should have gone for 5,000 yards last year and missed the playoffs because they kept scoring 38 points a game but giving up 42. You could have got Trey Hendrickson back in the fold. You could have had him resign. He was, according to reports, interested in trying to work out some sort of contract deal with the Bengals, but then the Bengals have an executive vice president who grabs a mic and goes, I think he should shut up and be happy. No disrespect. No disrespect. It's kind of on him to recognize that we don't think he's worth that much, even though other teams do, and be happy with that. No disrespect. What a wonderful way to make sure that one of the best defensive ends in football, a guy who was getting you 17 and a half sacks a year, not once but twice in a row, says, bleep this, I'm out. So I guess the Bengals are in the edge rusher sweepstakes in the NFL draft now as well. What a way to ruin that. Good news is somebody else is going to sign Trey Hendrickson. And if somebody inside that top 7 was to sign Trey Hendrickson, There's one more chance for one of those top-tier edge rushers to fall down to Carolina at 8. Everything's connected, baby.
Unless Carolina is the one who signs.
Unless Carolina's the one who signs him.
Yeah.
You know what? I kind of like that. Not as a Saints fan, but as somebody who needs the Panthers to do well so that I can get paid more money, I kind of don't hate it. Back after this, the Rob Brown Show wraps up hour number 3 on the Fan Upstate.
Wasn't expecting a Clifford reference today. Got to say. So if you quit a game without being angry, it's no longer a rage quit, right? It's just you gave up on it.
That's the definition of a rage quit.
No, I thought you had to be.
Quit a game because you're angry, or if you quit a game and you're not angry.
If you quit a game and you're not angry, you just decide, yeah, I can't beat this, and just move on. It's a giving up attitude.
The rage quit is ordinarily like, blink this, I'm done with it.
No, exactly. Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of angry at myself for not being able to have enough skill to beat something. And it's also a matter of patience. There's a door I need to get through. To get through the door, I have to defeat basically an entire army. I've been unable to sneak past them. I've been unable to take a couple guys out and just run for the door. So finally I gave up and I looked it up to see if there was another way. And there is another way. You befriend the army captain and he gives you a pass. I don't want to befriend the army captain. But there again, if it's not America, it's based in Britain. So well, all the army people in this game are punks. So there's that.
How do you get that hair so dang silky? I shower, Kane. Step 1. Step 2, use shampoo.
It's also lighting.
It's natural, buddy. My hair is my only good genetics.
There's a light right above his head. I'm just saying.
It's still silky. It's very silky. He's not wrong. It's good lettuce. Kane said, Rob Brown, how do you get that hair so dang silky? The answer is genetics, baby. My mom.
There's a light above your head.
That doesn't change the texture,
Your
man.
forehead is glowing right now. Okay.
That's good hair. When I was born, my dad had Brillo pad hair, you know, and so my mom, she'll tell this story to you. When I was born, my mom made one wish, which was that I got her hair, and I did, and I look like my dad in every other way. Like, she got her wish. I got great hair. I got my mom's hair, but I look like my dad in every other way.
Why don't you have your brother's hair, though?
He and I have the same hair. If I grow mine out, it'll look like that, too.
His hair's pretty cool.
I just have people in my life who hate it when I have super long hair. So, but no, we're married now, so that doesn't matter anymore.
Well, it still matters, but I mean, you know.
Not as much. We're married now. It doesn't matter as much. Real quick before we go on, I was talking about, because I've had a couple of people that have texted or tweeted about it, that thing that I pointed out in the last segment, which is that, and I'm coming right back to sports. Stick with me. We're going to talk wide receivers in the NFL draft here in just a minute. I was talking about that thing that there is a proper order of adjectives to describe a thing that none of us know what we like. We don't know that we're doing it, but we all do it. That order is because friend of the show, Alex Guest. By the way, fantastic contributions to the show from Alex Guest this week. He threw his wife under the bus, and now he found exactly what I was looking for. He said he had it saved to his phone. He found it so interesting. The proper order, Lonzo, is opinion, size, age, shape, color, origin, material, purpose, noun.
Well, that kind of defeats what you said because it's written down. I mean, so it is.
Have you ever seen it written down? Somebody just made the note of it, but you never went to English class. You never went to lit class. You never went to composition class and had somebody say, here's the order of adjectives. We just do it naturally. It's kind of like using the correct urinal in the men's room. Nobody ever teaches you that. It's just instinct.
Well, there are some people in the building who would say if I were taught it, I didn't actually retain it. I don't recall those years of school at all because I'm so old. So I don't know if it was taught or not. And you will reach a point where you just don't remember. You think you remember. So how do you know you weren't taught it and you just forgot? You are 40. It is possible that you just forgot.
No, literally never taught that. I took English through college.
You know
I took
how you are taught it
through college.
But you are taught it when you learn sentence structure without being taught it. You just automatically see that the teacher wrote it that way, so that must be the right way to write
because
it.
I remember all of my English composition lessons. I never got taught this. And so here's the thing. The example that the author of this used was, you can have a lovely little old rectangular green French silver whittling knife, but if you mess that word order in the slightest, you'll sound like a maniac. It's an odd thing that every English speaker uses this list, but almost none of us could write it out. And as size comes before color, green great dragons can't exist, but great green dragons do. And that's exactly right.
See, I disagree with that one, for sure.
You have never said that's a great green dragon.
No, there are greater dragons and there are lesser dragons.
Not the point. Not the point.
Yeah, but tell me I'm right.
If you were talking about a great dragon that was green, you would describe it as a great green dragon, not a green great dragon.
You said green greater dragon. And a green greater dragon.
I didn't say greater. I said, okay.
Yeah, you did.
Okay.
That was very nerdy. I don't care.
It was very nerdy. Somebody responded and said, this is profound. I noticed this by accident when asked about adjectives by a Japanese student. She translated something from Japanese like brown big cat, and I corrected her when she asked me why I blue screened, which is exactly correct. If somebody said that's not the right order of words, you'd be like, that's not how that works. And none of us have the hard rule as to why. It's just instinct. It just is. I find that beyond fascinating. All right, let's get back to the NFL draft, shall we?
Please, because a lot of people are like, well, stop telling me how to talk.
I'm not telling you how to. I'm telling you how you do. That's the fun part. Let's talk wide receivers because, as I have said a couple of times,
why do you keep missing out on Emeka Egbuka?
I'm not there yet.
Okay,
I've got him ranked 4th
Okay,
in this
yeah,
wide
a
receiver
lot of
class.
people do, and they're discounting wide receiver U, which is the Ohio State University. That's, I mean, almost every receiver core they've had for the last 10 years is considered a pro receiver core.
I don't disagree. I think Emeka Egbuka is going to be a pro wide receiver. There are positives and negatives. By the way, as a New Orleans Saints fan, half my damn locker room over the past handful of years has been Buckeyes. All right? I'm not upset about it. I got Tet McMillan, in terms of talent, in terms of skill, number 1 overall. I like this guy a lot. He's got good speed. It's not great speed, but he's got good speed. But he goes 6'4", 219. He can jump out the damn gym. He is not a guy who is explosive into and out of breaks. However, he is a dude that has got a good quick first move, and then I just got to throw it up there, and he can go get it. He is a good, not great changer of direction, but he's a guy that I can launch it up and he can go beat most cornerbacks up and through there. He's got a big frame. He can play over the middle, and 50-50 balls belong to him. So I like this cat. But we talked about this back in the first hour of the show. Tet McMillan was on a podcast last week, and he said, I don't watch film. I don't like to watch film. I don't want to watch film. I don't pay attention to the film. And that has been a very polarizing, a very divisive topic, conversation on the old social media. Because there's like a good chunk, I would even say a majority of people who have said, then I'm out. If you can't self-evaluate, if you can't watch yourself and pick out what I'm doing right, what I'm doing wrong, what I can do better, you can't be the best version of yourself. And I do agree with that. But then there's this other weird side of the conversation where Nikola Jokic has got me all kinds of turned inside out. Because Nikola Jokic is the most IDGAF pro athlete I've ever seen. It might be one of the best 4 basketball players I've ever watched play. That guy's unbelievable. He's unfair. He's a cheat code. And now I don't know what Nikola Jokic's policy on film watching is, but I do know Jokic ain't the first in, last out kind of guy. He ain't the dude that finishes a game and go, I live for this. I live for it. No, he's not. He lives for his horses. He wants to fly back to Serbia and go see his horses. That's all he cares about. Yet he shows up and he's the most dominant basketball player on planet Earth right now. So there's like a part of me that's in on Tet McMillan, and there's like a part of me that's out on Tet McMillan. Matthew Golden is the second ranked wide receiver on the board right now, in my opinion. Yes, I said second ranked, and that is the worst verbal typo maybe of my entire career. That is worse than anything you've had to dump before, Lonzo. I am infuriated with myself right now. Yep. Yep, that's...
What the hell?
That's fair. I don't know. I don't know that there's a...
I can't speak right now.
We suck.
I don't know that I can come back from this one.
This too shall pass. You will move on.
That sentence might be the end of a 17-year career.
No, it won't.
That might have ended the show.
It will not. That's not the worst thing you've ever done.
If this would be the first time that if we got off the air and I got the see me in my office email, I'd go, yeah, that's I earned that one.
That's a 2026 Star Award.
You get
right there.
nothing. You lose. Good day, sir.
I have had enough of you.
Yeah, I'm trying to think, should I make that a promo or not? I don't know. Because it's really, really bothering you, and you did say it, so,
I have been at this for...
This is a good time for you to put the bat down, though. That's all I'm saying. I've already been nervous the entire show today.
This fall will be 18 years that I've been a professional broadcaster. Using the term professional very loosely here. This fall will be the 18th anniversary of my debut in broadcasting. And if you've listened to the show, you know that there are some Rob Brown traits that I've carried with me. I very frequently put dumb and incorrect pronunciations on words for the emphasis of them. I take pregnant pauses during certain sentences to heighten the drama a little bit. And sometimes, occasionally, rarely, but sometimes I'm very excited about talking about a thing because I love this job and I love doing sports talk radio.
Look,
and sometimes
I think the boss
get
just
excited
left, and he probably had his radio on.
A little bit of adrenaline. And sometimes the mouth outruns the brain a little bit. Sometimes the mouth outpaces the thoughts a little bit. And sometimes I stumble over a word or two. And I'm usually pretty good about course correcting and fixing it and just moving it on and pretending like that didn't happen. But I just said that Matthew Golden is the second ranked wide receiver in the draft. And I don't know if that's true or not. I know he's the second ranked wide receiver in the draft. I don't know how many times that other thing has happened so far. But
you're not making it better with this,
There's no making this better. There's no way back from this.
There is making it worse, though.
I don't know that there is. I feel like I could do the entire fourth hour of the show talking about that verbal typo, and it still couldn't get worse. Matthew Golden, that might be, for many, many years, because I watch film and evaluate myself. I write little notes to myself, like there's sticky notes in various places around the office, and there are some that say, don't say and slow down, do this, do that. I think tomorrow when I come in, I'm just going to post. I'm going to go get a poster made like this one back here that says wins and losses are not a quarterback stat, which is accurate. I think I'm just going to go get Costco to print me out a big poster that just says wank right on the wall right there, so that I have to constantly look at it and just go, yeah, I should probably slow down.
You're not the only one that would be constantly looking at that, and I don't know if wire to wire could function with that on the wall. I'm just saying, I don't think they could. So look out for everybody else and just don't do that.
Matthew Golden is the second ranked wide receiver in this draft as far as I am concerned. Matthew Golden is kind of the opposite of Tet McMillan. Matthew Golden is 5'11", 191. He is not a 50-50 ball guy. He's not a jump ball guy. He is, however, probably the most explosive wide receiver in this draft. He is the type of dude that finds a spot. He is very much a explode into a route, out of a cut, and to the ball. I saw someone yesterday describe him as a dude who can pluck the football. I made sure to slow down before I said that.
I'm enjoying the enunciation. Yeah. Good job.
He is a dude who understands how to pluck the football. That is to say, minimize your contactable area, yeah? Minimize the amount of space you take up. And as you approach a football, keep that space minimized, and then bang, hands go up, you make the catch, you get the ball back down. It's just quick. You limit the amount of time that you can get busted up. And I think that's great. And by the way, he is one of two players in this draft to run a sub 4.3 40, which is just raw speed. And if you watch Texas games last year, you know that is game speed. That is not 40 straight speed. That is game speed. He makes acrobatic catches. Not a dude that is, again, going to go up and win a bunch of 50-50 balls. But for the size that he is at 5'11", 191, he is absolutely a guy who can high point the football. He is absolutely a guy that can understand, that can see where the ball is going to be, and he can get up and high point it and not get outplayed by cornerbacks. If there is the ability to draft Matthew Golden for the Carolina Panthers, I might take him over an edge rusher. That's how talented I think this guy is. That's how well I think he can fit into this system and can play well with Bryce Young. If Matthew Golden's available at 9, that's my pick. I don't think they're going to pick him. I think they're going to go edge rusher, and I don't know who it's going to be, Jaylon or whoever else. But if Matthew Golden's on the board at 9, that's who I want. Give my dog Bryce Young his helper. His name is Matthew Golden. All right, we're going to talk more draft as we inch ever closer. 20, what are we, 20? Is it 21 days today? 22? I don't know. It's that Thursday, right? Yeah, 21 days, 3 weeks, whatever. Wanked wide receiver, sports flash.
This too shall pass, my
Leaving.
friend. This too shall
Goodbye,
pass.
everyone.
The 7th consecutive loss of
Been
the
nice
Atlanta
working
Braves
here.
was, we're going to blame the Braves on this, was the most dramatic so far. Atlanta held a 5-0 lead over the Dodgers after just 2 innings, courtesy of 3 Los Angeles errors and RBI doubles from Nick Allen, Ozzie Albies, and Matt Olson. However, the Braves wouldn't find the plate again. The Dodgers downed the Braves 6-5. 10-time NBA All-Star Carmelo Anthony found out yesterday he will join the NBA's 2025 Hall of Fame class. The 6-time All-Star selection, All-NBA selection, was drafted 3rd overall by Denver in 2003. Melo ended his 19-year career scoring 28,289 points. That's a lot, making him the 10th highest scorer of all time. Tune in this afternoon from 3 to 7 p.m. for Wire to Wire. Cole Bryson and Diesel ride shotgun on your drive home right here on The Fan. Upstate. It's a good cover, Kay. Might actually work. So would you, dear listeners, turn that into a promo? Of course, it will be tastefully done because I am award-winning. And as you absolutely saw, I was brought to tears. That does not, that's hard to do. Maybe I'm lamenting the end of all things. I don't think so. But you never know. You're not Rob Brown. I haven't had any problems with it. Have you had problems with your headphones?
Nope.
Sizzling?
Yes, I have. Every now and then there's like a wire loose in there and one ear will go out slightly. And I've tested it in the other ones. And
I thought Chris fixed that. I thought he did.
It's happened. I don't think it's happened today, but it definitely did yesterday. It's this one. Yep. Not that I'm aware of. But I don't think anybody uses those two. I think we only use these two. So I've plugged my headphones in over there because that was happening on this one over here. Hang on, guys. Be right back. Mario.
Wonderful.
Ah.
Big Daddy, how you doing?
Not great, Corey LaJoy. Not great. Lonzo's eyes were literally watering up.
Oh no, I laughed so hard I cried. I just, you know.
So anyway, what an absolute day.
You guys can have your pratfalls. You can have your, you know, your comedians that are off color. I guess technically that's off color. I'd rather hear something.
Oh, it
like that.
definitely is. It definitively is. I have been doing this for a very long time.
You slipped up. You did. It happens. I mean,
what did you do?
Sometimes that sort of thing happens.
Hey, Mario, where do you have Matthew Golden ranked with an R in this draft class?
Ranked with an R.
Yeah, because
last segment I called him the second wanked wide receiver in the draft.
he did. He's trying to recover from that.
Yeah,
It's
and
not,
I-
Wow.
Yeah, I know.
Wow.
it's not. It's
I can't even make fun of you today.
Yeah, he
Like,
just
I
he
don't
just
have
said
any-
it again and it made me laugh again. I just because of I don't know why there's discomfort from him saying that because I mean that's his kind of humor. So I mean you know.
It sounds like you watch Ted Lasso too much and like the wanker. You know, that kind of got stuck.
Yeah,
in
no,
your
I
head.
got it. I know why it's bad. You don't need to explain it to me.
Fair.
I have not. That was 10 minutes ago. I haven't recovered.
It wasn't really 10 minutes ago. It was like 5 minutes ago. But, you know, that's fine.
Sir, it was a solid.
Wait, no,
14 minutes ago.
No, it was 8:46. I wrote it down for no reason.
No reason.
There's no reason why I wrote
Not
it down.
getting turned into a promo.
I would not do that.
Where I was talking about.
I would not
which-
make my friend Rob Brown look like what he just made himself look.
Yeah,
I wouldn't
definitely
do
not a full 1 minute promo where Rob Brown talks about the most wanked wide receivers in the draft.
I would not make the music drop out so that the wank is actually isolated. I would not do such a thing. That is a tool that I don't know how to use.
Ladies and gentlemen, joining the radio broadcast is the executive producer of Bet MGM Tonight, which you can hear on this and fine Odyssey stations everywhere tonight from 7 to 11 p.m. with Bradley Evans, with Ryan Horvath. He is the hating ass one. Hating ass Mario Herron joining us here on the show. Sup, dude?
What's going on, man? I mean, can I ask you a quick question off the bat? I want to flip this little stepbrother style.
Oh, God.
Spell ranked for me, if you could.
Spell ranked?
Yeah.
RANKED?
Just checking.
How do you think I'm incapable of
just keeping you on your toes?
differentiating those two
Listen,
words?
here's what he's doing. He's trying to make sure you're all right. Okay,
Yeah.
you're showing some warning signs that you might need some help, but your spelling's good, so you're probably all right. You are getting older. There could be something going on, and he's just concerned for you.
True.
As am I.
You could be getting some gray hair. You said you just turned 40 recently. These are things you have to worry about now when you turn that age, Rob Brown.
Next thing you know, you could be Mike Francesa. I mean,
Yeah.
it could happen.
Nobody cares.
That's pretty good.
Like
That's
that.
pretty good. Hey, Nas Mario, join us here on the show. You just sent me a document
Okay.
entitled Final Four Prep.
Can I explain
You wanna-
something?
Yeah.
I'll join you. I'll jump in the hole with you, Rob. I had two big, bad brain farts, right before I hopped on. One was sharing the Final Four prep sheet that I had with you and not my home email. So that was a mistake. I was trying to find it. I'm like, why is this in my home email? It's because I sent it to Rob Brown instead of sending it to myself. So that's on me. And then I was trying to fill up my friend's Brita, and I just dropped it. And I'm in like a waterfall.
I would like to point out that ranked and wanked are only one letter apart. Mario and Rob are.
Because I was thinking Rob show, and I was thinking Rob, how great is Rob Brown? He would never mess up saying ranked. He is the best radio personality in the country. And I can't wait to talk to him. That's what I was thinking.
Cool.
That's what I think almost every day.
Every day.
Mm-hmm. Hating Ass Mario joining us here on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. James said, pretty sure no one's working today at the FCC due to budget cuts. That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
If that was a dumpable word, it would have been dumpable. So we're good.
I don't know. In Britain, I'm sure it is. In the UK, but
Yeah, that's a good question.
I think we're good here. All right. Hey, you since you brought it up, since you did send me a whole ass prep sheet about the Final Four, thanks for doing tomorrow's show prep for me. I very much appreciate it. You got some breakdown of some games here, Mario, that I'm intrigued. Is this breakdown that you feel confident talking Final Four? Or did you just go write a bunch of stuff down to give to Ryan and Brad?
No, this was like, you ever have, I have sheets, like 1,000 of them in my Google Docs. I'm probably like a psychopath where I just write random stuff that I think throughout the day, like about the NBA, the NFL, college basketball, UFC. Like I'll just have this. I'm like, oh my God, that's a really good point. I just literally put in my notes. Look like a psycho person, but it does work out, I swear. No, I feel confident in the fact that when I watch Auburn, Florida, there is going to be a moment where Auburn is going to be up by like 8 points, and people are going to think that this game's put away and it's over. Auburn's going to advance to the championship. Everyone's getting behind Bruce Pearl, saying he's finally going to get the ring. And at that moment, I am going to bet Florida. And in that moment, Florida's going to come back because that's all they do is they just have this resilience. They just, every time they're down, they get right back up. They are the Wire meme. I want you to let the whole world know that we back up. That's the Florida Gators. They did it against Texas Tech. They did a game on an 18-4 run. UConn, it seemed like UConn was in control the whole game. They come back and beat UConn. Maryland, they outscored them 47-33 in the second half, the Sweet 16. This is what this team does. Every time you think they're out, they're back in. You throw as many punches as you want. They're Nate Diaz. They're staying in the middle of the octagon. They're going to win every single time. So I love Florida. I think they win this game. I think they win it all. Personally, I have it in my bracket, and I've kind of thought throughout this whole tournament, just from the SEC tournament, that this is the team that's going to be able to do it. And they're very, very deep, man. They can throw a lot at Auburn. So I lean Gators. Sorry, Bruce Pearl. Love him a lot. Think he's the best. Would love it if he would go to UNC at some point, and just God can kind of make that happen, pull some stuff. But I think Auburn falls short. Does that hurt? Because I know Johnny Broom's your boy.
Janai Broom is my dog. He is my guy. He is my Wooden Award winner. I think he's absolutely a stud. I think he's the best player in this draft. There's a interesting part of me that's kind of hoping that the Pelicans don't get the number 1 pick. I hope they get number 2, so we end up with Janai Broom so that he can come to New Orleans, be hurt for 2 years, get traded to the Knicks, and then become an all-star for the rest of his career. It's going to be great. Can't wait.
It would be funny, the whole, like, you know how people are doing right now, who's the better prospect, Zion or Cooper Flag? It would be kind of humorous if, like, Pelicans got both. You're like, all right, well, now we're really going to see.
Yeah, hilarious. Can't wait.
Yeah.
Hey, why won't Ja Morant stop being an idiot?
Dude, I have no idea, man. Like, I think, honestly, maybe we should have seen this coming because we just fired his head coach with 9 games left, and it's like the hardest 9-game stretch.
A successful head coach, by the way. Not like a dude who was out there turning in 20-win seasons.
Very successful head coach, and, you know, this past offseason, he does, like, the complete revamp of his coaching staff and brings, like, a whole different style of play offensively and defensively. They keep majority of those guys on, and, you know, it was reported that it felt like he wasn't even coaching anymore. He was just running these guys' a system. So, like, why fire him then? If it's like it made it sound like things are just going to be the exact same. Well, things are going to be the exact same. Then why'd you even fire the guy with 9 games left? Like, it's just, I don't know. It's weird. It's chaotic. But we should have seen this coming with Ja. It's, you know, we're having chaos ensue all around him. So what do you think is going to happen? Things are going to get a little chaotic. All I know is Grizzlies, whoever faces them first round playoffs or even in a play-in, I think they're going to be pretty pumped about it.
I think so. And I guess we talked about this earlier in the show. The part that's frustrating for me is I very much tuned in for a minute. We are going to go back to the Final Four in here in a second, but Mario's an NBA guy too, so I got to ask him this question. I think the thing that frustrates me is I think Ja Morant could be one of the best 3 or 4 basketball players in the NBA, and he just won't stop punching himself in his own groin. Like, he just won't quit. Like, what are we doing? That's Steph Curry on a night where he's knocking down every shot he throws at the basket on pace to 53 or 52 points, and you're going to pretend to shoot him when you're already busted up and suspended for half the season at one point on, what was that? Oh, that's right, waving guns around. Like, what are we doing here, man?
And it takes away from the moment of the game because in that matchup, if you watch it, it felt like a really good duel between the two guys, right? And John Morant, if you just rewind the tape and the back-to-back second seeds, it felt like Ja was like the next guy to kind of take over the league, and that was really exciting. And that's what everyone wanted. He had this factor of him where you go, he reminds us of Derrick Rose because he just attacks the basket, finds a way to finish. He was leading the league in points in the paint. And you're like, this guy's not even 6'5", and this guy's leading the league in points in the paint, which is exciting to watch. He was very, very likable. He was marketable. And then next thing you know, like things just start taking the turns for the worse. He just starts making these bad decisions, gets suspended, then he gets hurt. And you go from a guy that everyone loves and is like praising and you see as the next big player in this league to do you want to be in the John Morant business? Like if you're a team, do you want to trade for him? Do you want him to be the face of your franchise? Like where does that go? What head coach can you even get to pair with him next in Memphis? Like, do you need like a hard edge coach, like a Nick Nurse type, an Ime Udoka type? Like, what's going to take it to work? Or do you need a guy that's a very good players coach, like Tyronn Lue? Like, is that going to work? Does the Miami Heat make a call and they like somehow get him and then he's going to fit into Heat culture? I don't know. I can't tell you what's going to happen, but I can sit here and say if I had a choice between like the young stars, between you throw him and you throw Ant in there, you even throw Tyrese Halliburton in there, you throw Zion in there. Where does he rank and who do you want to start a franchise with? Because right now I'd say that he's honestly towards the bottom.
I would agree. And the fact that, and again, I don't know that I can or can't or should not put this on him, but Taylor Jenkins gets canned, and then his dad is on a podcast the next day talking about how like Taylor Jenkins didn't do enough for Ja and wasn't developing him. And I'm like, what the hell are you talking about, dude? Like, the fact that he was cocked, locked, and ready to get on a podcast within 12 hours of Jenkins catching the hook, I'm like, this is going to exacerbate the Ja Morant's a coach killer mentality. And if that is the case, who the hell's going to want to be that guy?
Exactly. Like, why would you want a job where if there's a little bit of a hiccup, you have to worry about not him, but his dad going on the podcast and airing out all the beef? Like, you got to realize like that's just not good for the team. That's not good for organization wise at all. And look, I understand that this new like offense the Grizzlies put in, it was a little frustrating. It's a little different because it was very like fast paced, a little less ball screen, a little less screening off ball. And that's hard for a star player, right? Because the best way to get the best defender on the floor off you is through a screen, get a switch. That's the best way to do it. And when you have to face the Thunder and you have Lou Dort on you and you're like, God, this guy's a physical specimen, but like a Greek god. And I can't get a ball screen to kind of get him off me and switch into someone else as an easier matchup. Yeah, that's frustrating. But at the same time, you're playing great basketball. And if it's working for you like they say it was, then you kind of got to bite the bullet and just keep going. It's not a good look for the Grizzlies. And, he's still very, very early in his career. And it seems like there's some maturing that needs to happen. And that needs to kind of be done and be addressed. And if you're the Grizzlies, you also got to talk to them. Go, look, every problem you have, keep in-house. I talked about this actually yesterday with Brandon. Anytime someone like outs a beef in public, that never makes the beef better. That never is like, you know what, that really felt great to tell everyone on the podcast about the current issue. It's all resolved. Like, no, man, that's not how that works.
No, I agree entirely. All right, let's go back to this Final Four here for just a minute because you clearly have thoughts. Thanks for the show prep again. Look, I got Auburn winning the national championship. I've been high for a while, but I've also said a couple of times that pick was made for me a couple of weeks before the tournament. Florida has obviously gotten white hot. Here's the thing that I love about this game, though, especially if you watched the Auburn Elite Eight game. Number one, the jungle travels very well. Like, the Auburn fans have been waiting for this season for a long time. Florida fans obviously travel really well too, but I think it's going to be 60-40, 65-35 Auburn fans in that building, A. B, as much as Florida is emotional, takes them off the chin, keeps going, the Auburn players, pardon me, Janai Broom and gang, like they feed off of a crowd. They as soon as a crowd gets when Janai Broom left the court with that hyperextended elbow, when that dude came out of the locker room and checked back onto the floor and knocked down that three, and the Auburn folks took the roof off that place, I had a buddy over watching the game, and I was like, Auburn's winning this game by 10, right? Like they just they feast off of that. To me, whichever one of these two teams is able to start the second half on a big run, assuming it's a close game at that point, I think feeds off the emotion. I don't like vibes games. This is a vibes game, and if it's a vibes game, Auburn wins.
I get what you're saying with that. The only part I'd push back is when Florida took on UConn, that felt like kind of a big UConn home game. They had a live crowd there, and that's just a team with pretty big fan base that travels well, and they were able to bounce back in it. The thing I love about Auburn, to your point, is I'm a sucker for a great defensive team, and that also defends the three extremely well, especially in today's age. If you can really slow a team's three-point percentage down and just really tank it in a game, you're going to win 10 times out of 10. That's something that should be copied throughout basketball. If you can't defend a three, you're not going to win. If you can't shoot a three, you're not going to win. And Auburn kind of do both. But I just can't get over how deep Florida is. Like, that's just like they can throw so many guys at Broom just to frustrate the crap out of them. And I don't want to say like I'm worried about his injury, because I think when you're in the Final Four, something called a little Toradol is going to be given to you, and you're going to be feeling pretty good. You know what I mean? Like, that's the stuff that cracks up. People are like, well, worry about his injury. I'm like, hey, if you worked this hard to get here, I'm going to let you know a little secret. You're not going to even be feeling your elbow that whole game. Hit me up 3 hours after it, you're probably not going to be able to move it. But in that time zone, when you're on that floor, your adrenaline's pumping. They're going to give you some stuff to ease the pain. You're going to be fine. All that, on top of it, Gators, too, in that first matchup, were up 21 points at one point in that game. But they also hit 13 threes. And if they're going to hit 13 threes in San Antonio, then
they'll beat everybody.
Go home. Yeah, they should just go home.
Don't disagree. All right, real quick, we got about a minute left. Houston, Duke. Duke comes into this thing as a damn near 10-point favorite on the money line in this one. And we've talked about Cooper Flagg. Everybody's talked about this offense. And I think you made the second point on what I think is the most important point. This is the fourth best defensive team in the country. Like, we all talk offense, Cooper, and John Shire and what they do, Malik Brown, what they do offensively. This team's the fourth best defense in the country. When you are that balanced, you are the best team in the country in terms of differential, and also a top 5 defense. That's a championship recipe, dude.
It's so annoying. I can't stand Duke. And can we, before I dive into it, but can we just, everyone stop with that? This Duke team's so likable. No, they're not. John Shire can literally lick crap. Like, Cooper Flagg's annoying. His parents doing the on your head over everything. Shut up. Like, I can't stand any part of this dude. Con Knippel is like the classic Duke player. He looks annoying and odd. It's just still the same old Duke. John Shire doesn't work the refs as good as Coach K did. But they are incredible. They are everything that we think they are. And you mentioned like the defense. When you have that good of a defense, and on top of 3 guys that can get a bucket at any time, that's so hard to beat. That's so hard to stop. I do think Houston covers because it's a really big spread at 9.5. I think Houston can keep it within because they're that experienced of a team, and they've just been around the block before, and Sampson's one of the best coaches in all of college basketball, and they can shoot the crap out of 3-point. So, like, even if they're down a little bit and, you're worried about a backdoor cover, it's coming because they can just knock down 2 threes and boom, they're in it. But Duke's going to win this game. It's going to be Duke Florida in the title. And at that point, guys, I might take a live alligator.
What a time for Mario to freeze up right there, huh? What a time for Mario to freeze
up.
up.
Look at that. He's still
noted.
Not a good way to be frozen. He's back.
What? Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
You said I might take a live alligator, and then you just completely froze up and cut out.
Yeah, I might. Say go Gators.
No, we don't know what you said after that.
Well, now
you died.
You
died.
Yeah,
you froze.
He said go.
What are you going to do with that live alligator?
It's almost Easter, so he's risen.
I worry about you as a person sometimes, and right now is one of those times.
That's all right.
Hating ass Mario Herron from the BetMGM Network, the executive producer of BetMGM Tonight, which you will hear tonight and every other weeknight right here on this and fine Odyssey stations, everywhere, all that crap about Duke. Who's your favorite college basketball team again?
I'm wearing a shirt, actually.
Yeah.
North Carolina. We are not looking good, though. We just lost Elliot Kiddo in the portal.
You are not looking good.
Yeah.
You're not looking good.
Thanks, Hubert.
Yep. Have a
probably not going to be wanked very high because of that.
All right.
Not gonna
bye,
be. Nope,
Mario.
not even a little bit.
See you, Mario.
Not even a little
Have a
bit.
great day. See you tomorrow or whenever next
Just
week.
make sure you say the R in it.
Yeah, no,
If you need like help pronouncing, ChatGPT can be really big for you.
I need help, but not pronouncing things. Professional. See you next week.
See you guys.
Mario Heron. Okay, don't do that. Mario Heron from the BetMGM Network. Fight Club next. The Rob Brown Show, the Fan Upstate. You're both bad people.
Yeah, we know.
Good people.
Both bad people.
All right. I'll see you, fellas.
See you, buddy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Thanks. That's been building for a while. It hurt. Be right back. I need a break.
welcome into the Fight Club, also known as Talk About John Cena, which we're going to do here in a minute. Talk about John Cena. Can't do that. That's a joke. That joke is not funny. John Cena never thought that joke was funny, even though he actually used the joke himself. But the joke was on you for thinking that he thought it was funny.
I feel owned.
And you should. Before we get started, I just, we don't do this enough, but I would like to thank all the people who get us wrestling interviews, including Rob and Michelle Young from Borderlands Comics and Games, who get us every year. We get interviews when South Carolina Comic-Con rolls along, which it is coming up on the 5th and the 6th, which is this Saturday and Sunday. And you have a chance to meet not only Matt Hardy, who we've interviewed twice now, but you can meet Jeff Hardy, you can meet Matt's wife, Rebecca, and the Goth Kid, which is, watch that on Instagram if you haven't. It's very entertaining, as well as Don Fry and Mark Coleman. So he always has a good assortment of wrestlers and MMA fighters, because that's what he's in, and we always get a chance to interview them. Also, not just that, but the chances that we've had to interview wrestlers throughout the years, it's been awesome. It really has. As a kid, I never thought I'd get to do anything like that, nor did I know that I wanted to until the opportunity came along. And it's like, oh, wait, we actually get to talk to them. And you know what? I don't recall a wrestler being a bad interview. I don't recall a wrestler being, for me anyway, I don't recall a wrestler being, hard to work with. They've always been really, really cool. And I just want to say how grateful I am to get to do such a thing. All right.
Sweet gig if you can get it.
So someone who is not grateful right now would be John Cena. Each week, and I don't know if it's because he's in Europe or what, you think this next one, it's not going to be as good as the last one. And this particular one last Monday was, I think, even better than the other two, because Cody got to respond. And I thought Cody responded really well. This is the first time, Cena didn't do all his talking and then Cody came out. Cody came out right away. They're in the ring together. I don't know that we see John Cena again until WrestleMania. I don't think he's scheduled to be on Raw anymore.
I don't know. I will say,
and WrestleMania is right around the corner. It's just a couple weeks away, so it's not like it's that far away. But who won? Who won in the verbal sparring this Monday, in your opinion?
We did. We did. Like, I hate to be cliche. I hate to be that guy, but we did. I mean, that was, as far as a back and forth goes, that's as good as I've heard in a very long time. The two best parts, obviously, were there was more in that promo than you have in your jorts, which was just a baller of a line. And John Cena, you're my hero, but you're a piece of was spectacular as well. Like, I gotta tell you, there was a part of me that was concerned because, again, I've said a couple of times, I think the lead up to Cody Rhodes winning the WWE Heavyweight Championship was as good as we've seen since Daniel Bryan's road to WrestleMania 30 in terms of a build-up. But I thought the year in defense, frankly, has kind of been relatively boring to me, because at the end of the day, when a guy becomes a white-hot, pure babyface, it's kind of boring because that's not how real life is. I was a little prepared, especially with it being his farewell, even if Cena was going to put Cody over on the way out the door, which I'm not entirely sure he's going to at this point. In fact, I'm pretty sure he's not. I kept waiting. I'm like, John Cena's buried bigger than Cody Rhodes. He buried Dwayne. He's buried Austin. Like, he's buried people bigger than Cody Rhodes. I kind of thought if he comes out here and shows this guy up, this could get weird. I got to tell you, as much as I have not been a Cody Rhodes during his run guy, he is more than held his own mic to mic with John Cena, which is, I got to give him his flowers for it.
Yeah, I don't know what the WrestleMania odds are as far as Vegas goes, but I got to think that the money's on Cena to win this. And
it is.
And here's the other thing.
He's like I want to say last I checked, he was like minus 225. Cody Rhodes was like plus 450 or something.
Like it's been said, and it is true, Cody is better when he's chasing. But the thing is, what happens when Cena's gone? who's going to take that place. I don't know.
Cody does. Cody goes right back.
No, I mean, who's going to be the next heel? Well, who's going to be Rock's guy? Does this whole storyline end when Cena retires? Or is there another soulless person out there that we just don't know about? The rumor is that it could be someone who dresses kind of funny and has a chance. That's close, but not, yeah.
Well, of course I can't do it.
And we've seen him be corporate guy before, so.
See, I don't even think he has to be corporate guy. I don't think he has to do anything different. I don't think you even have to change dramatically the character for Seth Rollins to step in and fill that role, especially considering you've already got it built because you've got the connection between Dwayne and Roman. You've got the connection between Dwayne and Paul, Roman and Paul, Punk and Paul. Like, there's that whole power structure at the top. And when Cena gets beat, if he goes out on his back, again, I think Cena's winning the title. I think he carries it probably till SummerSlam. I think Cody takes it back, and then you've got this power vacuum in that spot. And if you do, there's only one guy who was unaffiliated with anybody else that can step in and go to that spot, and it is Seth freaking Rollins.
I hope it's not true because I've never been a big Seth Rollins fan. I just, again, I think he was the least of the Shield. But he's managed to stay on top, and the fact that he's so angry that CM Punk gets his shot, that would drive him to The Rock. I'm sorry, Dwayne, and it would also drive him to an alliance with someone who he's had an alliance with before, and that would be Roman Reigns to take out Punk. I mean, it's a three-way. Why not? All right, Gunther. Friend of the show, Gunther. Bloody Big Jim. The Big Jim thing is so corny. I still kind of like it.
Big Jim.
Bloody Big Jim. Here is one of the cases where, as opposed to AEW where there's blood all the time, when there's blood in WWE, it means something. This feud looked like it's like, yeah, Gunther's beat him a couple of times. He's going to do it again. But him making it personal, and the way that Gunther does it, it's just so nonchalant. It's so movie villain-like that it's just, I think now this thing's a little more interesting.
Yeah, they had to do something because, listen, there's, and we've had this conversation before, there's getting over, and then there's something getting you over. And the reality is, it is super fun when the music hits to get up and yeet all over ourselves. It's fun. It's entertaining. The difference between the yeet and the yes chant is that when Daniel Bryan would come out and do the yes chant, then he'd get in the ring, and he was one of the best wrestlers in that company. Hands down, one of the best technical and objectively most talented wrestlers. So when he got in the ring, it was a great match. I got Jay, he's a Pensacola fella. I'm in his camp. I'm in his corner. I want him to be great. I got Jey Uso in a lead up to WrestleMania. Yeet is over, and then the match starts, and then the place goes dead because he's just not there yet. And that's not to say he can't be or he won't be, but there's the thought of being in WrestleMania shape. Gunther looks better now than he has looked in a long time, and he's looked good for a long time. This is the spot where you need to be either at your best or on your way. And I got Jey Uso out here botching his signature finisher to a point that Triple H was having to write that the botches, the whole lack of confidence, Jey Uso storyline to me is just a cover for the fact that he blew it a couple of times, and they've already committed. That's why Jey Uso wins the Royal Rumble, which is supposed to be main event at WrestleMania, and he ain't the main event. They're just not the main event. They can call it the main event, but opening Saturday instead of closing Saturday or Sunday is not the main event. They got moved out of that spot. And I am firmly convinced it's because Jay just is not that guy, that star right now, that they're having to cover up for it. The only way to get people back on board is to turn Gunther into the most heinous Bond villain they could come up with, and that's exactly what this did.
By the way, and I know you don't watch LFG, you should watch the last episode of LFG because Gunther was on there.
I've seen the clips.
And he made Undertaker mad. He made everybody mad. He made Booker T mad. But everything he said was right. And it was very interesting. Check it out if you haven't seen it. All right. We now know we're going to get Braun Breaker versus Penta at WrestleMania. I think this is one of those matches that could steal the whole show, whatever night it's on.
There are, me and there's 2 or 3 buddies of mine that are all wrestling guys, and we all, we DM with each other, and we got our wrestling text thread that we go back and forth. And there is a phrase that we use in there, and it's that this match, because it just goes. Braun Breaker v. Penta may very well steal WrestleMania weekend.
And finally, Rusev has signed. Where would you put him?
You can put him wherever you want because, and how fortuitous, it's Rusev Day. Where would I put Rusev? I mean, as far as I'm concerned, Rusev just, you know what WWE hasn't had until Gunther, and they can't use Gunther right now because he's carrying a belt. That Gunther can fill this role later. I think Rusev is better at it. He's the heel boss. He's the guy that you go through to prove that you are WrestleMania main event material. He's the guy that Jey Uso goes through to get to Gunther to take him on for a title event and a main event at a PLE. That's who Rusev is. And also, I miss you more, Lana. Every day is Rusev Day. Every day is Lana Day. Fight Club with the great Milonzo. Every Thursday at 9:20 a.m. We wrap up the show next. The Rob Brown Show, the Fan Upstate. Lana is the best. Lana number 1.
They're also divorced, aren't they? So I doubt she's coming back.
I thought they were like going through a divorce and then they reconciled, if I read correctly. Okay.
They are no longer married. They were divorced in 2023.
Okay.
No, it does say, but they have since reconciled and renewed their vows. Okay. I should read the entire sentence before I start talking. I had some AEW stuff on there, James, but once we get talking and it's a short segment, I have to condense, and some things have to hit the cutting room floor. Come on, Steven. He's having a bad enough day as it is. Don't do that.
Is that a bald spot on the top of Rob's head? No, it's not. It's just glare. All my best qualities are from my eyes up. No bald spots. And I go, and for the record, it's a hard part. I have my barber put a hard part in so that I don't have to struggle. Although, when I do this, it's very Tobey Maguire Spider-Man 3, and I just realized that.
You go and dance? Just don't smack Mary Jane. That's all I'm saying.
I love that movie. I don't care what anybody says. Wrap 3-1, just like that.
Listen, I need a
What a
win.
day to fall
I
apart.
haven't had a win in a while.
Man, it's been like a
it's
month
only
and a half.
Thursday. I could have a really bad Friday.
Plenty of time for the late game 28-3 style collapse, but hadn't happened yet. Alex Ovechkin, very good. Very good at hockeying. Career goal 892 last night for Alex Ovechkin taking on the Carolina Hurricanes.
You know what
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I'm curious about something. So if people who don't follow the sport, is this one of those that you will actually tune in to watch him break the record? Like with baseball, with the home run race and other things that are highly publicized in sports that a record is about to be broke. How many people listening will actually jump in and watch it who don't normally watch hockey?
I think the answer is a healthy amount. And the reason why is not because it's the record, but because it's Gretzky's record, right? Like it's one thing to break a record. It's one thing to break a record that's been standing for a very long time. It's one thing to break a record that has been standing for a very long time that is held by a legend of the sport. It is another thing to break the definitive GOAT's record, right? Like the definitive GOAT's record. If you break a Kareem record, then that's one thing. If you break a Kareem record because people are going to go, well, there's Mike and there's Kobe and there's LeBron and there's this and there's that and there's this and there's that. It's one thing to break a Babe Ruth record or to break a Shohei Ohtani record or whatever, because there's so many legends of the game. I do think Shohei Ohtani is the greatest baseball player of all time, but I also recognize that he's got a long way to go before he is going to be consensus accepted as the greatest baseball player on the face of planet Earth, although he is all time. It's going to be a while before he is accepted that way. And I think that's partly because he's still doing it. And I think it is partly because, I think it's the fact that he is a Japanese-born player and playing an American game, America's pastime, has something to do with it. Wayne Gretzky is the unquestioned, unabashed, unargued, undisputed GOAT. There are plenty of great legendary hockey players. There's plenty of Gordie Howe. There's plenty of Sid the Kids. Wayne Gretzky is, without a doubt, the greatest hockey player of all time. And while I am very much enjoying the chase for the record of Alex Ovechkin, I also have to point out, because somebody the other day was like, even if he takes this record from Gretzky, he is still not going to be the GOAT. He is not going to replace Gretzky. And I agree with that take. And before this person even finished their take, I knew exactly where they were going to go, and they were correct in doing so. Alex Ovechkin is 3 goals away from surpassing Wayne Gretzky for the most goals ever scored in the National Hockey League. That's a hell of a legacy. Do you know what other record Wayne Gretzky holds? The most assist in the history of the National Hockey League. Wayne Gretzky, over 1,487 games. If you're seated right now, I want you to take a pen and I want you to write that number down. 1,487 career games. Wayne Gretzky had 1,963 assists. Now, if you didn't write those numbers down, don't worry. I'm here to do the math for you. That is an average of 1.32 assists per game. I don't know, for those of you that aren't big hockey guys, I don't know how to put that into a sports comparison to really tell you how impressive that is. 1.32 assists. That means Wayne Gretzky, who leads the NHL and will for probably 4 to 5 more games, the NHL in all-time scores also helped other players score a goal 1.3 goals per game that he was directly responsible for with an assist. In case you want to know where that stacks all-time, the second place assist leader in NHL history is Ron Francis, who had 1,249 assists in over 1,731 games. Wayne Gretzky played roughly 250 fewer games than Ron Francis did and has roughly 714 more assists. Again, I wish I could come up with a comparison to tell you how impressive that is. Wayne Gretzky has 714 more assists than the second highest assist leader, Ron Francis, and he collected it in roughly 250 fewer games. Gretzky's assist record is so extraordinary that even if you took every single one of his 894 career goals away, if Wayne Gretzky finished his career never scoring a goal, but ended with 1,963 assists, Zoe, he would still be the NHL's all-time leading point scorer. You get a point for a goal, you get a point for an assist. He would still be the NHL's all-time leading point scorer, even if you took every one of his all-time goal leader goals away. I don't know how to put that into a perspective that makes sense if you're not a hockey guy. Just know it's beyond bleeping unbelievable.
Maybe put it in basketball terms, because I remember early on in LeBron James's career, they talked about how he passed the ball too much and passed on taking shots. And he's always one of the leaders in assists too. So I think you look at whatever sport, if there's a guy who shares the ball with other people instead of like hogging it for themselves, there are other guys that would be up even higher in scoring. But that's a cool stat. And even with Ovechkin overtaking him, if he does, when people ask someone who doesn't follow hockey, hey, who do you think the greatest hockey player of all time was? They're still probably going to say Wayne Gretzky.
And they would be right. Like, this is, I don't pick another sport. There is not a GOAT in that sport like Wayne Gretzky is in hockey. There's not. I don't care what sport you give me. Beach volleyball, track and field, soccer, basketball, football, baseball. There is no sport that has a clear consensus, undisputed and indisputable GOAT like Wayne Gretzky in the NHL. There's just not, no other sport has a Wayne Gretzky. None. I have sat here racking my brain trying to come up with one. There is not another sport that has a, if you took every one of his 894 goals, a career goal scoring record that is stood as the mark for literal decades. If you took every one of those 894 goals off the board, his assist alone would make him the NHL's all-time point leader. And then, by the way, you add 894 more points on top of it because of his goals mark. The all-time points leader mark will never be broken. Wayne Gretzky has said, I never consider myself a goal scorer. I consider myself an assist guy. I consider myself a guy with helpers. I consider myself an apple distributor, not a goals guy. And yet, the NHL record for all-time goals scored has stood for this long. That's what Ovechkin's trying to break, and he still won't come close to the Gretzky point total.
And now, the Rob Brown Show presents Twitter.
All right, time for me to tell Rob what is Xing, and he will let us know why that particular thing is Xing the first thing that is Xing, so I'm going to see how many times I can say Xing in one sitting, is Scott Hansen.
Scott Hansen is Xing because it was revealed yesterday, I believe, that Scott Hansen is not only going to be in the next version of Madden, the video game series, but he is going to be the voice of the next Madden franchise installation, which is very interesting because Scott Hansen's contract with NFL Media runs up very soon. He is going to be a free agent unless the NFL decides to bring him back. What a time to get the Madden franchise to tap you as the next voice of that franchise, because it almost kind of feels like the NFL has to bring him back now, right?
Yeah, but this is the most right thing ever. Okay, when you're playing a game like that, it's the same guys calling the game over and over again. But in this case, Scott Hansen calling the game makes perfect sense because he does it every Sunday. He calls every game every Sunday. So him calling every game on Madden, it just works for me.
I had so one of my favorite stories of all time is Gene Deckerhoff is the voice of the Florida State Seminoles and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And when I was doing radio down in Florida, because we were the flagship station for the Noles in Destin, Florida, I used to have Gino on the show regularly to talk Florida State football. Gene Deckerhoff, if you play Madden, is the voice of the public address in the background, right? So when you're playing Madden and you hear the PA, if you turn the announcers off or you hear it over the broadcast audio, that is Gene Deckerhoff, the voice of the PA. And I asked him, I'm like, how did you end up in that role? And he said, I was at Disney with the family. EA called my agent looking to have me included in the game. They were like, do you want to do something with the game? I said, yeah. They said, where are you? I said, I'm in Disney. And they went, that's where our recording studios are. Meet us there. And when he showed up, they thought they were going to use him as like a side radio project in the game. But basically they were like, yeah, no, you're just the PA. Why? Because that's going to allow us to put your voice on every game played every time somebody plays the game. And he ended up getting a lifetime royalties arrangement with EA Sports because of that.
That's a good deal because that game is and at the time I wonder if he thought, this is going to be like a one-year deal. This thing will never go off. And look at it now. All right, the next thing that's Xing is Josh Allen.
Josh Allen is Xing because I talked about him earlier on the show, and obviously now the nation has brought it up. No, that is not why. I do not know why Josh Allen is Xing. Either it's his birthday or it's because of his wife.
No, you're going to love this. This is because all the rules changes, according to the internet, have been changed so Josh Allen can win. And every rule change just about is because something happened to Josh Allen, and then the next year a rule is changed to help Josh Allen, but he still can't win. That's why it's Xing.
I blame Sean McDermott. Will, continue to, will remain.
Could also be Josh Allen's fault.
I mean, could be. Not, but could be.
Listen, we know how to win the big one. He does not.
Here's hoping. That we do. I mean, I hope he does too. Hey, that's it for us. Thanks for being here. I hope you enjoyed the show. If you didn't, that sounds like a you problem. Come back tomorrow. We'll try again, and it should be, theoretically, even better. Have a great rest of your day. For Lonzo, I'm Rob Brown. Don't drink and drive. I'll punch you in the face. See you back here tomorrow on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. Later!
Wow! How much fun is this?
You're right, James. But no one in the AFC can do it. So, there's that.
All right, boys and girls. I got a jet. Got to go pick the wife up from the airport. So I am Audi 5000, as the kids say.
Do they say that?
They used to. I don't know if they still do.
Okay. All right.
Have a lovely rest of your day. Thanks for being here. Tell your friends about us. We're trying to get rich and famous and retired. See you tomorrow. Goodbye.